Y'all like that? Y'all like that? I'm just
We so professional now. We are so professional.
welcome to the show. This is Q and Cole. We got JP on today. Curtis, the producer. We're gonna let him get some FaceTime real quick. What's up, Curtis? How you doing?
No.
All right, get off the screen, Curtis. All right, now.
Wow.
That's so crazy that you would do Curtis like that.
Off to a roaring start.
I on my empathetic journey from last time. But I'm gonna be honest here. Look, me and Cole, we were setting the playbook for today, and we was like, "Hey, first thing we gonna do, ISO, get the ball to JP. JP, man, how you feel about what happened week 2?
This is the dumbest franchise in the history of the sport. The entire team is so stupid, man. The Browns aren't even that good offensively, and you somehow look worse than the Browns. It was at a point where Browns go up 16-3, and I already know the game plan. I already know how this is going to happen. They're going to make a furious comeback, and then they're going to do something so mind-numbingly dumb that it'll completely ruin the rest of the game. The comeback starts 16-13. Amazing punt by Corey Bojorquez. Probably the best punt I've ever seen him lay down in his entire life. You're on the 2-yard line. Why in the hell are you running an out and up with this offensive line at the 2-yard line? It's just terrible, stupid play calling. It's not even like the designs are bad. Some of the designs are bad, but it is just week after week of terrible situational play calling, and you have 2 play callers. How are you both really bad at this? How is everybody involved with this offense so bad at designing a modern offense? It is the most nonsensical offense I've ever seen in my life. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no foundation. There's no goal to this offense. They out there in Madden running a bunch of plays. You're just clicking on ones that you think are cool, like you're playing against an 8-year-old from like Wichita. Like this is it's bad to the point where it's not going to get worse until everybody is fired.
Wow.
We are at that point already. Everybody's got to go with this offense. Doug Peterson's got to go. Press Taylor got to go. Sure, everybody can go except for Ryan Nielsen. Hands, round of applause to Ryan Nielsen and that defense, because they were once again really good on Sunday. But a first-year defensive coordinator and a revamped defense should not be the reason you're in the game when the offense has been the same offense for 3 years and has consistently gotten worse, and now the quarterback is mad at everybody. This is the exact same playbook of Doug Peterson in Philadelphia. And for some reason, he just cannot learn that Press Taylor ain't it. You've been here 2 separate stops now where Press Taylor is ruining your career. At some point, something's got to give. And if they get embarrassed on Monday night against the Bills, which they probably will, and they get embarrassed against the Texans week 4, which they probably will, there is going to be a coaching change.
So, safe to say you weren't happy with the performance from the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. From an offensive standpoint.
Cam Little played good, the kicker. I think he was pretty good. I thought Buster Brown, the backup corner, I think he tried his best, especially in that situation, terrible situation to be in. But yeah, man, that offense sucks. And it's not just like the play calling that's bad. This offensive line, the funniest thing about the offensive line is that it's been a problem for 3 years now, and they never actually fix anything. It's always, we'll just keep let them develop, let them get better. The offensive line coach sucks. Offensive line coach is bad.
Who is your
and
offensive
from there,
line coach?
It is really hard to win football games with a bad offensive line. And once the Browns knew that the Jaguars' offensive line was in fact bad, and there was no way to out-scheme them because the play caller was just leaving them out there to die, that game was over.
Yeah. I don't really got shit to add to that from a Jaguars perspective here. You got any more steam you want to get?
I'm about to say, you got anything else you want to rant about real quick with this team?
All right. I thought quarterback was was fine. It was a weird game. He missed a bad throw in the red zone where he turned into an incompletion where Thomas was open and he felt the pressure that wasn't there and he bailed on pocket early. But outside of that, I mean, it was clear he is fed up with whoever is running this offense. Everybody is fed up. I think there was a quote after the game where Doug Pearce is like, "We're still a really talented locker room and a really talented team." And then they go ask Travis Etienne in the locker room about that quote. And Travis Etienne is like, "We don't need talented people in the locker room. We need to win. Like, we need hard workers." And it's already at the point where there's a rift beginning between like the players and the head coach. There's a rift between the GM and the head coach. Nobody likes each other on this team. And that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going in a good direction here.
We're in week 2.
Hey, Brian Thomas Jr. looked good. He threw
Right.
Hard he got downfield.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's the biggest. You have one of the most explosive targets as a rookie in the game right now, and you find one way to get him the ball. That is coaching malpractice. I want everybody got to go.
Hey, I always wonder how Doug Peterson got fired 4 years after winning the Super Bowl. Like, it take you forever to get fired after winning a Super Bowl. It took Brian Billick 8 years to get fired.
He is speed running, getting fired. Like
That
this,
is
it
crazy.
is over. If they get embarrassed against the Bills on the road, which the most Jaguars thing ever would be for them to win that game. They will, if the Jaguars are actually the Jaguars, they will probably win that game like 13-10, and then go out the week after against the Texans and then just completely blow up, completely implode. Because that's what the Jaguars do. They're such a dumb team. They're such a stupid team, man. I don't understand them.
Is it the way that you guys have lost these first 2 weeks where you come in week 1 and you pretty much have a game in the bag and then it just kind of whittles away and then you compound it with probably what was even more of a frustrating offensive output at home? And let's also remember, Cole, this wasn't just at home. This was at Trevor Banks Stadium.
Never name the stadium after anybody ever again. You just knew as soon as they announced that they were going to lose that game. That was such a dumb idea, but I can't really blame Everbank for doing it because that's just what happens to this team. I feel a lot better about this loss if we were 1-1. I will say that. I'd feel a lot better about this loss if they just handled business against Miami.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, like you're 500, you're still in this. Like, that loss sucks, but you're still in the race, especially with the Titans being 0-2 and the Colts being 0-2. You're still in it. No, you're also 0-2, and you're on the brink of completely imploding by like week 6. So
if you start 0-4, do you fire everybody? Like, I know you're saying it right now, but like, does it happen where it's like, hey, you got to do something? Like, where does the leash end with Doug Peterson this year?
So I will say this: the Jaguars bye week is late in the season. It's week 12.
Ooh.
But you have to go on the road to Buffalo. You got to go on the road to Houston. You're playing Indianapolis at home. You got Chicago and New England in London. You got Green Bay. You're on the road Philly, Minnesota, and Detroit. And that's all before the bye week. Like, I mean, I don't know if you want to go into London with an interim, but if this offense doesn't get any better by like week 5 or week 6, then that hot seat is going to get even hotter.
Well, That is a full breakdown of where Jacksonville is for Jay. We're not going to torture him, Eddie. We're going to wait till he go on the radio for a little bit to talk about the rest of that game here. We're going to give him some other things to talk about because it seems like the brother is going through it.
Real quick, because since we're on the rant, is there anything defensively you feel like you need to get something off your chest real quick? Anything at all?
May I use profanity one time?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we
sure.
encourage
These motherfuckers tackle. What are we doing? Made the quarterback look like Randall Cunningham because everybody missed a tackle. That they were getting pressure, which is the funniest thing. But then nobody tackled. I don't care if it was the rain. I don't care if they completely put the quarterback in like soak him in butter or something. Please tackle once, somebody. I mean, schematically, it was fun. It was a great game plan. They did as much as they could with three of their starting secondary, two of their starting secondary members out. Cisco, I think, got hurt during the game. So you were missing three of your top four defensive backs. The front seven has to win. That is where you invested all of your money, and they could not make plays. They couldn't they couldn't make negative plays. You were getting a lot of pressures, but the pressures never turned into sacks. And that is a problem because somebody has to tackle. And now you're going next week into Buffalo, and they will run you the hell over if you don't tackle.
Yeah, and if you thought tackling Deshaun Watson was difficult.
Now you gotta go tackle a freaking
ostrich. My God, next week.
Yeah, I go tackle a freaking ostrich with a nitro booster on it.
This is like, hey, remember Cam Newton? Here's somebody bigger and harder to tackle than Cam Newton.
It's not even just Josh Allen, though. You have to play Indianapolis in 2 weeks. How can you tackle that guy?
Fast Cam Newton.
Him. I mean, you played New England. After you play New England, New England will make you miss.
Hey.
Will make you miss.
Jacoby Brissett is one of the most sneaky, slippery I've ever seen. People always sleep on it. I'm like, that 540, that 5 flat 40 is faster than it looked, dog.
Yeah. They lost against Seattle, but he was hooping on Sunday. He was playing really well. He was doing a lot of sack evasion. Y'all better learn how to tackle. That's my biggest boomer take. Nobody knows how to tackle anymore.
Don't let CJ Stroud get outside of the pocket.
He does that now. The iOS update happened. Now y'all can't tackle. Like they picked the worst season of all time to forget how to tackle.
Hey, that CJ Stroud post Ryan Day iOS update is crazy. Like,
man, please don't get me started. I don't want to talk bad about Ryan Day.
I
don't want to say anything negative.
Mad at me every time I bring it up.
I don't want to talk about him.
We talk about him running now. In the NFL, he was not running in college.
We only got time. We only got enough time for one rant on this episode.
Y'all
we only got enough time for one rant.
But when he becomes the Jaguars' next head coach, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'm shocked he wasn't your offensive coordinator that 1 year y'all had Urban. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Urban Meyer, 10 being peak Saxonville, where are you at with this team, and how badly do you want the coach fired?
2. That is where I'm at. That is where I'm at.
Because week 2?
Listen. This team has not won a football game in hundreds of days.
Oh yeah,
and
they
the
did.
Team that they beat just benched their quarterback, who was 5'8". That doesn't count. You don't get to claim that as a win.
Last time you won was against Carolina.
Yes, that was the last time they won that game.
Who's won a game more recently, Carolina or the Jaguars?
Probably Carolina.
No, it was the Jaguars. The Jaguars beat Carolina.
Okay.
JP was about to rethink a lot of things. That was true.
He was about to be at a 1. He was about to say, "Oh no, I'm at a 1. Never mind."
He's like, "No, everybody got
again." We might be bad, but we have not reached Carolina level. That is the biggest thing. Yeah, this team is really bad. And it's not just this team is really bad. It is not winning in, I believe they haven't won a game in, I think, 8 weeks. It's been a minute. It has been a long time. And Trevor Lawrence did not play in that game against the Panthers. So he is 0-7. So it looks really bad. And stats are win-loss is a team thing, but that team is really bad. And it's starting to get really loud. And not only that, but this team is too talented. This team has too many talented players to be as bad as they are. Like, you think about the guys on the team. We mentioned Brian Thomas Jr., a really good rookie receiver. Christian Kirk is good. He didn't see any targets at all in that game. Trevor Lawrence, I still think is really good. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby. I think the Jaguars are first in yards after contact in the NFL. I think they are dead last in yards before contact in the NFL. So Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are really good. It's just the 5 dudes up front continue to get worse. And that is a problem that lies on the development with the offensive line coach, with the head coach, office coordinator, and the GM. Like that group of people have not made it work. The defense is incredibly talented. That's the thing that also frustrates me is the defense is played really good. You allow 18 points in an NFL game, you should win. The Browns only scored 17 on the Cowboys, but the problem is Cowboys scored 37. Like they were able to boost their defense up. The Jaguars haven't gotten that. They haven't gotten that help from their offense yet. And it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. That's why I'm at a 2, because it's the most frustrating team I think I've seen the Jaguars put together.
Well, we got almost 97 people in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button and share the show so more people can get to it. Because what's up?
Real quick, JP. So Trevor Lawrence has lost 7 straight games. Is that correct? 7 straight starts?
He's lost 7 straight starts.
So he has 2 losses to the Cleveland Browns in this time frame. Is that correct?
2 losses to the Browns, yes.
I believe 2 losses to the Browns, and every other AFC North team was in there too, because that was during the stretch where they played like Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh back to back.
Again, the funniest thing, they played the Steelers before that and won. Because the Steelers stink. Like any competent quarterback against the Steelers, and you can win. But they were making a comeback against the Bengals on Monday Night Football. Then Trevor gets hurt. Trevor played the rest of the season hurt, which completely derailed that offense. So you can be like, oh, he got hurt. We should invest in the offensive line more, right? You want to invest in protecting the $200+ million asset that you just paid. No, you just replace the center with an older center and just say, hey, Cam Robinson, I know this is like year 7 or 8 for you, but you should develop and turn into something now. That's going to happen. We're playing a guy that we got traded from Minnesota, and at guard, he's not that great. Brandon Sheriff is super duper cooked. Like, that is beyond cooked.
I forgot he was out there.
Yeah, so did the Browns defense. It was the backbone. Anton Harrison is really good, but the first 2 weeks of the season are alarming because he has not gotten better. He has played worse. And again, that goes to offensive line development. They cannot develop anybody up front. And so now you're just stuck with a bunch of dudes who cannot develop. The offensive play calling is the worst in the NFL. I know I'm being a homer when I say that, but that is the worst play calling in the NFL because they have no idea or vision for what this team wants to be offensively. And they can't execute without a vision. So it's all bad. And again, it's week 2. Like, there are already rumors of like a rift between Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, which has been going on since last year. Like, this has been a thing since last year. So I don't know how Trent Baalke has a job still. He was the GM of Urban Meyer. How did he not get fired too?
Oh, wait. He's the dude who made that decision?
He was the GM. He was brought in to be GM with Urban Meyer as the head coach.
That's crazy.
And somehow he survived that.
That's nuts.
This is like he's like Emperor Palpatine levels of unkillable.
He must be the worst homeboy in the world if he kept that job, because the amount of throwing under the bus that you had to do.
I think he throws everybody.
In fairness to him, it's real easy to throw Urban Meyer under the bus. That was real easy.
I bet he was printing out charts of that 2011 Florida roster. Like, look, this is just his pattern. Right?
To be fair, Urban Meyer didn't even know who
Aaron Donald
was.
So
I want to be that quality control coach that was sitting next to him and had the whole day tug where Urban Meyer said, man, this 99 on the Rams is for real.
He's standing.
Who the fuck is this guy?
No, the funniest thing was that year Andre Sisco was starting to get reps and he was starting to play on special teams. Or we thought he was starting to play on special teams. He wasn't playing at all. They just weren't playing him. And if you see Andre Sisco now, you're like, how the fuck did you not play that guy? Urban Meyer forgot who Andre Sisco was. He's on the team. Like, he was asked, like, hey, why isn't Andre Sisco getting reps? He was like, yeah, Andre's been playing on defense. He's been rotating in, playing special teams a lot. He didn't play any snaps at all that week. Right. This is a level of hell that, like, it might be bad, but it can get so much worse.
All right, JP, thank you for being on. We'll have you back here after you get done with some of your stuff there. But that was Act 1 of JP on this show, y'all. Give it up for JP. Give it up for JP, man.
Hey, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate it, JP.
Woo.
That is a tortured soul, man. That is a tortured soul.
Man. It gets worse. Hey, man. If you are a Browns fan and think that, we are feeling the worst and woe is me, nah, dog.
It can get worse.
Close.
It could get so much worse.
Ooh, they play the Bills
and then the Texans.
Oh,
on the road.
It's gonna be difficult.
It's gonna be difficult.
But welcome to Q and Cove. Hope you guys enjoyed the first 30 minutes of it. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We're going to talk about a lot of things around the league. We're going to talk about the Browns. We're going to talk about the AFC North. No, that's the other live. All right, we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield's growth here. Could the Panthers go 0-17? And are the Eagles absolutely unserious? Derek Carr, is he good again? Did Derek Carr become good again? We're going to talk about some of these teams that are 2-0 that are frauds and 0-2 that are not. Going to have a lot to talk about here. I guess we could get into it because I kind of want JP here for some of the other NFL stuff. Let's talk about this Browns and Jags game. Deshaun Watson, I think, is the first thing we need to talk about. And I walked away from that game on initial viewing thinking, okay, that was better. Like, the one thing, and I said it on this show, I said it on a lot of shows, I don't want to be sitting here debating whether Deshaun Watson played better. If it was that, it's cooked, right? If we were sitting here having to argue with people like, no, it actually was better if you look at this and that, it's like, nah, if I got to bring out the film to make the argument, baby, it's done. Like, it's cracked. Like, it needs to be a much bigger improvement than that. I don't have to bring out the film this week to convince people that Deshaun Watson played much better football. It was obvious. It wasn't like it looked like a whole different dude out there, but it looked a lot more like what we remember Deshaun Watson looking like in those positive parts of 2023. Still didn't make those kill shot deep throws that he was capable of doing in 2023. We'll see if that opens up. Some of that was Amari Cooper just playing like trash. But we'll get to that. And I walk away from it. I've gone through the film, at least the first half of it, and I'm pretty encouraged with what I've seen in like the first 3 quarters of film that I've looked at with Deshaun Watson, that this is actually like a significant like processing improvement. He looks like he's more focused on ball. I still have those big questions about like, hey, can he consistently block out the noise, right? If he gets those first 2 drives this week against the Giants and something goes wrong and he gets booed, is he going to fall back into those like trying to make everything happen all at once habits that he had against Dallas? Or is he going to get back into the game plan and play football the way he played last week? All those things are here. I know people were trying to do victory laps on the Deshaun Watson side of things. Hey, y'all, I need y'all to understand this. Deshaun Watson's career is down 3-1, right? You got to wait till game 7 to even think about talking shit. And we ain't nowhere close to a game 7 with Deshaun Watson's career. This was a step in the right direction for sure. But that Dallas game put his career down 3-1. And I could be being generous with that. There are some people who've just written him off completely and will continue to write him off until he does something undeniable. So I don't think he's going to be able to get them victory laps there like people want to, right? Even if he plays well against New York, even if he plays well against the Commanders, it's going to take months of good quarterback play for anybody to be even remotely moved on Deshaun Watson nationally, some people even locally. I think that's just the truth about it, but I'm encouraged with what I saw out of Deshaun. What about you, Cole?
I mean, I think it was pretty obvious, even from like that very first drive. It's like, okay, he is already playing significantly better football than he did the week prior. Like it was pretty obvious from the moment that we got that ball on that first drive after the defense came out and got a stop. So that was good. That was positive. I thought that entire first half pretty good. I thought he was pretty good. That second half, they were kind of stagnant, weren't really able to move the ball at all. But I will give him credit for this. When they needed one drive, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know I was begging for literally just one drive in that second half so they could put this game away. And multiple throws to Jerry Jeudy that were good.
Exactly. No, there are some throws in here where I'm like, okay, yeah, that looked a lot better on all 22 than it looked like on the game camera. And yeah, that last drive was pretty damn impressive, right?
It was impressive.
If only they could finish it, but that's not Deshaun's fault. That was on post.
None of that. I'll say this too. None of that. And Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. He started it.
Deontay did try to throw somebody out the club. It got caught.
But none of that was on Deshaun. Yeah, man, I was encouraged by that last drive. I was like, okay, if you can do this, but against teams that are good, you see what I'm saying? If you could do that against good teams, the Browns might got something. But it's way too early to make any definitive arguments about him being, that guy.
Or
but this was a step
like that.
No, I don't know why people are trying to get victory laps, especially as bad as he looked against the Cowboys, who are
like good. Honestly, the goal of Deshaun Watson's season is for us to not even bring this up when we're talking about good Deshaun Watson games. Like, this is a step in the right direction, but by the end of the season, you would hope you have at least 5 more games that are way better than this. Because again, the bar isn't for Deshaun Watson to be like okay at quarterback. The bar for Deshaun Watson is to be a top 7 quarterback, right? Like at the very least, that's where the goal was for the trade, and where he has to live up to when you look at how he's played. Now, I understand some people might have lowered that bar based on what we've seen out of him, but it's important to remember, you got to remember what the original expectation of the trade was, and that's where the bar should be set. And this wasn't a top 7 quarterback performance. This was a solid B to B plus quarterback performance from Deshaun Watson. And I think that's a step in the right direction. And we can see what else gets going with that. And I just wanted to torture you real quick, Cole, because I just saw this flash through my screen. Hey, man, Marv had 124 on 4, and CJ looked so good. And y'all could have beat Michigan. What?
Hey, man, that's ridiculous. There's one common denominator in all of this. There's one common denominator in all of it. In all of it. In all of it. That's all I'm
blame Florida?
No, I'm not blaming. Yeah, you know who I'm blaming. You know who I'm blaming. We're not even gonna get into it. It's too early in the season. We're not gonna get into it. But you know whose fault? Everybody
I'm just looking at all these Ohio State players, especially on the offensive side of the ball, light it up. Garrett Wilson, my goodness. Did Garrett Wilson ever beat Michigan?
I don't think so.
Ooh. Ooh,
Chat'll correct us. Chat'll correct us if we're wrong.
Ooh, maybe when he was a red shirt.
Oh man,
It's real unfortunate, man. It's real unfortunate what happened to that once great university.
I have a question for you pertaining to Deshaun Watson, though, especially because you mentioned the bar. And I was talking about this a lot last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get JP's perspective on this too when he actually comes back, because I'd like to get an outside perspective on this. For me, with Deshaun Watson, I feel like the bar for him in terms of his personal performance, is so low for this team to just win games. Just win games, especially when you look at what they did last year with DTR, PJ Walker, and Joe Flacco. Like, bro, you just don't, like, you just literally can't be god awful like you were in week 1 for them to win games. You see what I'm saying? And some people were getting upset because he said that, like, I just need to be a facilitator. I don't have to do everything. And as long as I do what I'm supposed to do, you know, we're going to get it done and we're going to win a bunch of games. And I'm not upset with him saying that. I know that's not what people want to hear, especially considering how much you paid him and what you had to give up to get him. But I do think that that is the appropriate mindset for him to have. It's like, hey, man, if I just run the offense, if I stick to the game plan, and then when we need a play, if I could just, you know, go back to how I used to be in Houston and make those plays, we're going to be a good team. I feel like that's the appropriate mindset for him to have. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if the bar for winning is the proper term for that. I think that's more of a conversation of what the team needs from quarterback, right? Because there's a world where he could play spectacular, but it's too high variance of a style of play and it not be helpful for the team. I think what the team needs is exactly what you said, right? Somebody who could be a steady hand, facilitate, get the ball to the playmakers, dominate time of possession, get the run game involved, and really play Stefanski ball, right? Where it's just like chunk, 12 yards. We're going to score here, chunk, 12 yards. And then where you need Deshaun Watson to be able to step up, and we've seen this in Baltimore, we saw this against Jacksonville, is okay, now you do need to get a quick score. Can you get those quick chunk plays? Can you get those big plays there every once in a while? He's not going to have to do it for 4 quarters to win a football game. And you don't really want him to have to do that for 4 quarters to win a football game, because that's not going to be beneficial to winning, even if you think he's playing at a spectacularly high level. Like, this is a part of what he needs to do in order for the Browns to win football games. And I think it's part of it. One thing that's encouraging from Deshaun is this trend of like, hey, look, his best stuff is happening in the 4th quarter as a Cleveland Brown in his career total. And that still has held true these last 2 years with him, right? You look at the good throws against Arizona, against Tennessee, against Baltimore. All of those happened in the 4th quarter when the Browns needed to close out a game. I would have liked it if Deshaun could have ended the game in the 3rd quarter with 2 minutes left when the Browns really had a chance to just put that game away. But unfortunately, penalties and drops got in the way of that. So we'll see. But yeah, I think for Deshaun to play winning football for Cleveland, the Browns are going to need out their quarterback position somebody who is okay being boring for at least 3 quarters until it's been known that, hey, now we got to win a shootout. Now, winning a shootout, that's my big worry with this Cleveland Browns team, and with Kevin Stefanski teams in general. We haven't seen them ever win a shootout. And that's when you'll know, okay, Kevin and Deshaun are cooking at a high level. And this is when we can start having a conversation about Deshaun being back, is if the Browns can win a shootout off the strength of Deshaun Watson, right? If they hadn't add that to their arsenal of ways to win, then I think they're going to be a really dangerous team. But yeah, I agree. I don't know why people get mad at it. I think people would just want like the clean stat line to get their victory lap in. But I could care less about doing the victory lap about Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't know why anybody really is like so hell-bent on getting a victory lap in with Deshaun. It's more about, to me, what this team needs to win at quarterback. And you can get that out of Deshaun when he's playing well, because he does stuff like this. He stays ahead of the sticks. He gets you the long drives. And then also, he's capable of making excellent plays in the fourth quarter. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Deshaun Watson. We got to talk about Amari Cooper though.
Do we have to talk about Amari Cooper?
I'm on the fence on whether I think this is, and let's bring Curtis. Are you still in? Let's bring Curtis in on this. If he's still in.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. What's up, Curtis? We'll put you in the middle and shit. All right. I'm on the fence with where I'm at with this, with Amari Cooper, because Amari, he's been so good the last 2 years, and he showed no signs of being cooked last year. So it's hard for me to think that he just magically lost the ability to play football. But the play has been so bad, and it's like there's only really 2 real explanations to me. Either he's out of shape and he's playing himself into shape, or he's lost a step and he's not adjusted. Where are we at with it? Because he was, to Amari's credit, motherfucker was open.
Yeah,
like,
getting open.
Yeah,
and cooking people off the line.
So like that would, and the thing, also another thing to point out, because we don't really think about this with Amari because the production's been so consistent. There have been at least 2 games every season where Amari Cooper just doesn't catch the ball. Right? Remember the Pittsburgh game with DTR, and I think the Denver game with DTR, and then the New Orleans game, Deshaun Watson's first year, and I think there was another one, right? There are these weird couple game spats where like Amari Cooper doesn't catch the ball, and maybe this is what's going on. My question for the panel here is this. Big deal, nothing on Amari Cooper right now? Are we freaking out, or are we letting it pass and just hoping that he plays better?
I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace because I rewatched the All 22. I mean, he was getting open, but the drops that he were doing, they were like, I don't know if it's like a lack of concentration or Buddy just wasn't focused at the time. I mean, he was getting open consistently against those DBs, but the problem was he wasn't catching those routine passes. I'm like, something seems off. And I think someone suggested on Twitter, maybe he's playing himself into shape. I'm like, that makes sense. But another part of me thinks, well, he is getting a little bit older. Andrew Berry did try to trade for Brandon Ayuk, which, a lot of people had issues with. So it's a combination of either he's getting a little bit slower or he's trying to play himself into shape. I'm just going to guess he's going to play himself into shape. And maybe this, 2-game spat, it's nothing we look at and it's not a big deal. But I'd be worried if it continued for the next 2 games because the secondaries that they're going against, I mean, the Giants, they got Deontay Banks, but I don't think I fear anybody in that secondary. Washington's secondary, it stinks. It's literally bad. So if he looks bad in either 2 of those games, I'm like, yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned. But maybe he's playing himself into shape, but I'm not really pushing the panic button on him.
Cole.
To quote the great John Rivers,
we are giving on the show now.
to quote the great John Rivers.
All right, we got even out with Nico Fairman.
we are giving grace. We are giving grace to Amari Cooper for at least 2 more games. It's been very uncharacteristic, been outright bad at points in these first 2 games. That Dallas game specifically, it was like, yeah, I don't know what Coop got going on, but he's beating guys off the line, man. He's beating guys off the line. He's getting open.
Hey, could it just be that Amari Cooper was just as surprised as the rest of us that the balls was on target this week? Like, it might have just been, oh, shit.
Honestly, I wouldn't be mad. If that's what was going on.
I'm not going to rule it out, but he does,
mad.
To be fair to Coop, he does always have, like, a couple of games like this every season. Not usually at the beginning, though.
Yeah, so I'm just like, we're gonna see what's going to happen. If we're talking about guys whose performance on offense concerned me, he's not at the top.
Who's at the
of
top
list right now? We are once again giving grace to who that is.
Oh.
We are giving grace, and this for this player in particular, if we have to give him
he's
grace
earned
all
grace.
season,
I know exactly what
all
you're talking
season.
about. Yeah.
If I got to give him grace all season, I'm gonna do that. I'm not.
Hey,
I'm
look.
not even gonna talk about it.
We're
I
gonna let
promise
that be
I
a
won't.
graceful exit if that's who's not playing well for the whole season.
Yeah, if he looks bad, the rest of the season, that's perfectly fine. He's earned it.
That man has gone through football hell. JP is back on the show here. We're gonna go through some super chats and then we're gonna talk about some stuff around the league here. Damo in the chat today. He says this about Deshaun Watson's play here. This Damo, they just need him to be a facilitator. Big moments when they come. He's not gonna have to throw for 300 yards. I just need him around. I mean, I'm not so obsessed with the yard counts because they've been so erratic this year with what passing yards are looking like for these quarterbacks. It's been like a historic low in them. I think they're down 40 yards on average this year versus last year. But yeah, you just want him to be able to facilitate. You want to be able to score more than 17 points too. Like, I know this is a step in the right direction for Deshaun, but you also want to be at a point to where you can, like, the Browns should have put that game away against Jacksonville in the third quarter when they got the stop they needed, and it was like 2 minutes left in the third. I think they should have put the game away. If he was playing at a high level, that would have been something that would have happened, right? Where he could put that game away. Now we're chilling in the fourth quarter, right? Like, that's what he did when he was playing well in 2023. We were able to put the game away against Tennessee. We were able to put the game away against Arizona and then come back from 17 on the road against Baltimore. So for Watson, like, I think this is a step in the right direction, but I also am going to be very careful to make sure that, like, I'm not going to let that 9 QBR game drag down where my expectations are for him, because he's got to live up to them still. Like, even if you don't think he can at this point, you got to still hold him to that bar here. This next one here is, okay, I got that on screen. I'm bad at this, y'all. All right. Ray Rags with the super chat says, Wilson was on the 2019 Garrett Wilson that beat Michigan. Remember the catch he made in the playoff that year where he literally jumped higher than the DB guarding him? Ooh, man, Cole, what you think about the glory days at Ohio State?
hey man, it's coming back. It's coming back. We ain't worried. It's coming back.
Hey, look, one person is wishing Urban Meyer never came. You are wishing Urban Meyer never left, because apparently you don't got to know that much about football to coach college. Like,
hey man, whatever he was doing at Ohio State, whatever he was doing at Ohio State, it was working. That's all I'm saying.
Get guys who run faster than the other guys. Apparently, it's a solid strategy in college football.
I would much rather not talk about our favorite college football teams, because this has not been
not Florida State.
Florida State.
This is going
not been a great year for football for the kid, between both my alma maters, Florida State and the Jaguars, it has been a rough year on the gridiron.
Hey.
Real quick, Q. Now we got to do a college football.
Is Florida State going to beat the Sun Belt champion in the Poinsettia Bowl, whatever they call it now?
No,
they're not getting to a bowl. They're going to get to the cereal bowl in the off season.
Hey, I said this on Twitter. I need to ask you now. Could this year's Florida State team survive in the MAC?
They would probably make a bowl game in the MAC, maybe.
Are we
I don't
sure?
think they beat Toledo in the championship. Like, are they in the same division as Toledo?
Well, the thing about the MAC is also really bad. But Toledo's good. Miami of Ohio is pretty good.
Ohio's decent.
I think Ohio's decent. But everybody else in that conference in that
hey, Northern Illinois is a top 5 win, JP.
Northern Illinois is pretty good. Northern Illinois is solid. I think they can make a bowl game if they were in the MAC.
Are we sure they beat Bowling Green in the game? Are we sure they beat Bowling Green?
Right. Florida State.
They beat Bowling Green.
Florida State played so badly that they made me believe in Georgia Tech. And I will never forgive them.
Georgia Tech went and lost to Syracuse.
To Kyle McCord. I will never forgive them. I saw Georgia Tech struggle for a half against Georgia State in person. I was like, hey, dog, how bad is Florida State?
That's the thing, Boston College ran for 800 yards against Florida State, and then looked like the worst team alive against Missouri. Like that again. How bad is this football team? Really bad. Really, really bad.
Caleb Gunn says, I hate that Groper Cleveland played good enough just to get not to get ran out of the stadium, get this cloud off the team immediately.
Good enough is a stretch. It's a stretch. I'm going to be completely honest. The offense for the Browns did not play good. They had two Deshaun like crazy plays where again the Jaguars forgot how to tackle. But outside of that, I mean, they were 2 for 14 on third down. They weren't that efficient moving the ball, but it took like on those 2 third downs that they converted, it was Deshaun like remembering how to play football. So I'm still not convinced, but if the defense plays like this and you get a team like the Jaguars every week, then who knows? I mean, I think the Browns have the Giants next week and then the Raiders. So, I mean, you might, but
don't sleep on Gardner.
Yeah, don't sleep on Gardner.
No. We're not doing that.
What? We can't give Gardner no love. We can't give Gardner no love.
Look, this man watched like 3 years of Gardner Minshew, though. Like,
no, that man stinks.
Hey man, don't do that. Don't do that to Gardner. He was 9-8. He was 9-8 last year with the Colts. Come on, give him some love.
No. He was not 9-8 with the Colts. Shane Steichen was 9-8 with the Colts.
Wow.
The defense was 9-8. Gardner Minshew tried to give Michael Pittman a concussion on like every third play, every third drop back.
But it was a first down, though.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Not every time. Not a first down because he threw it short of the sticks too.
All right, let's go around the league a little bit. We just saw Monday Night Football, and good Lord, did the Philadelphia Eagles get out falconed by the Falcons?
They
falconed up. The Philadelphia Eagles falconed up on national TV, and I can't believe it.
It was a reverse falconing. It was a reverse falconing. I swear, that Falcons game was over.
I turned that shit off.
That game was off. It was done.
Bro, I started watching like season
pass, and it's like, oh, I know how this game's gonna end. like I said on Twitter, like Kirk Cousins primetime game winning drive. This is what we play for. And then he had the first big completion to Mooney, and I'm like, oh no, like, is this gonna happen?
And I was like, yes. Hey, no, Q, because we was in Slack before the game. I was like, hey, yo, you know Kirk can't play any worse than he did last week against the Steelers. There's no way he's going to play worse. And then JP was like, man, it's the Falcons. He could absolutely play worse. And I was like, okay, let's see. I was hyped for that last drive.
What we did not factor in was that it was the Nick Sirianni Philadelphia Eagles who are quickly gaining a reputation for being unserious.
I know everybody's going to draw a lot of attention to Saquon dropping that pass, but Saquon was the only reason they scored what? They scored 21 points. Saquon was the only reason they scored 21 points. That defense led by Mastermind Vic Fangio and like 7 first-round draft picks on the defensive line. Couldn't get any pass rush. That seems like a problem.
In this year's draft class.
that seems like a problem. Their inability to stop the run also seems like a problem. You know, I think they didn't do really good at stopping the run at all on Monday. I think the Falcons had a 38% success rate on all their early down runs, and Bijan Robinson almost ran for 100 yards. Tyler Algier had 75 yards. That's a bad sign, especially because you have 3 first-round picks up there. You have Bryce Huff, who you paid a lot of money to. You have Josh Sweat, who you paid a lot of money to. You can't be bad against the run in this defense, or you will get run off the field.
Yeah, I just could not believe this happened because I think they got a first down, and it got to like 2 minutes or something like that. And I was like, oh, this shit's over. I started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, that's how out of it I was. I was like, all right, bro. I was watching like Marty Funkhauser, Larry David interactions. I was like, all right, bro. And then I looked on Twitter and I saw Kirk Cousins in all caps. I'm like, ain't no way.
Was that me? Was that me? Was that me who you saw?
I don't know.
So funny,
I was
too.
just in shock that I saw it. I was like, nah. And then I watched it. And I was like, I watched the Eagles not get the first down. And I was like, this ain't going to be how it goes down. And then Kirk Cousins gets to the like red zone in like 10 seconds. And I'm like, yeah. And that's when I caught up live. And I was like, I can't believe we're here. And then like, whew, hey man, the Eagles got problems, dog. Like, the Eagles got real problems. It has existed for a while.
They got problems, and through 2 games, I don't think the coordinator's solving them.
Yeah, they kind of blamed everything on Brian Johnson. I don't know.
I mean, I went into the season. I don't think Kellen Moore is that great of a play caller. He does some nice stuff offensively, but why are you throwing the ball so much? Why did you go and invest in Saquon Barkley? And you have 2 guys in the backfield that squat like 700 pounds.
Hey.
Run the ball. Like that's. What are you doing?
Cole, you remember the Browns interviewed Kellen Moore for the offensive coordinator position.
Oh,
and now I know where that interview went south because they started talking about run the ball, and Kellen Moore was like, what ball? We running. We throwing this bitch. And Kevin was like, absolutely not. We will run this ball 35 times. Even if Nick Chubb is injured, we are running this ball 35 times. Like, Browns are top 3 in rushing attempts last year. Like, it is funny that people act like Kev don't run the ball. Like, Kev run the ball so much. Like, he loved running the ball. He ran the ball with Pierre Strong 12 times in a football game in 2023. That is a man who has a dedication to this. Like, while Joe Flacco is like averaging 10 yards per attempt, like
it's part of the reason why everybody in the building thinks they go run the ball.
Yeah, look, they have an identity and they stick to it. And Kellen Moore got in that interview, started talking about how we gonna throw this thing 45 times, and the interview was over. Okay, like
Kev was like, "Get that man out of my building immediately,
out my face."
Okay. First of all, it's talking about RPOs. We talk about run power often. That is the only RPO even in here.
Which gap you running? What you mean?
The only zones we know are inside and outside.
The Browns are going to keep 4 running backs on the active roster. They got 2 on IR right now and 3 on the roster right now. Like, no.
What are they going to do? Stop it?
Yeah.
Go ahead and try.
So it's just, I was watching that game and I thought to myself, man, you get out Falconed by the Falcons, you got problems. At home? By Kirk Cousins? National TV Kirk Cousins?
The fans were booing after 1 drive.
Loved it. I loved
First drive, they were booing. And I'm like, that is a level of dedication
all the time.
I cannot believe, but I respect it.
Hey, I tell people this all the time. And like, if you're not from Cleveland, you don't understand this. Sometimes Ohio can feel like Florida, but Cleveland is Philadelphia. Just a little bit angrier and smaller, right? Like, and look, we booed Deshaun after 2 drives last week in week 1. And look,
and booed the entire game. Do you hear me?
Oh,
the entire game.
Like, there were a lot of Cowboys fans in that stadium. And it got to the point to when we were booing the offense so loud that Cowboys fans were doing that thing to try to drown out the boos by chanting, "Here we go, Cowboys." That's how like, so when Philly goes through shit like that, I'm like, yeah, they doing exactly what we do because we not different, dog. Like, we not that different.
Oh, I absolutely would have booed Jalen Hurts after he threw that pick at the end of the game. Boo! Boo!
The funniest thing about that pick is everybody knew it was going to happen. Everybody knew as soon as he released the ball, I'm like, oh, game's over.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Jesse Bates. He was waiting. He was waiting for that.
Jesse Bates was waiting on that.
Hey,
throw.
Jesse Bates was watching them
knew
eyes.
exactly
like,
where that ball
he
was
about
going.
to do this.
Everybody in the building knew where that ball was going. And I get it because they ain't got no help receivers. Their second leading target was Britton Covey. Who the hell is Britton Covey? Why are you throwing the ball to Britton Covey? You traded for Jahan Dotson just to throw the ball to Britton Covey 8 times a game. Like, okay, sure. That's smart playing. Kellen Moore, mastermind.
Do you think the Panthers can go 0-17, JP? Are they now? Let's keep in mind they just benched Bryce Young.
So
in week 2.
So I don't think they're gonna go 0-17.
Oh, don't tell us.
Largely because it's really hard to go defeated in the NFL. It's really hard. We haven't seen anybody do that since
us.
Hey.
Browns. Nobody's done it. Like it's really hard. The Jaguars tried. The Jaguars really did try to go defeated, but it's really hard to lose 17 games with the vets on this team. They're gonna win a game they shouldn't. They're absolutely gonna win a game.
Do you think them playing Bryce Young, or benching Bryce Young, has everything to do with what's going on in that locker room, or are they just saying it's over with Bryce Young right now because they're gonna get that backup quarterback spark this week, and it's gonna make it look worse for Bryce Young?
I want to believe he'll come back. I think he might have just needed a little bit of time to kind of take that break away because his mechanics were just getting really, really bad. But like you said, if they go on a little bit of a run, they play Vegas in Vegas, and then they play Cincinnati and then Chicago. So maybe they're protecting Bryce Young from getting hammered by Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson, and the Bears defense. But, I hope he gets that job back during the season, but it's going to be really hard for him to develop anywhere in Carolina because clearly nobody there believes in each other.
Do you think Bryce Young would have worked anywhere else?
Yes. I think he would have been an average, passable NFL quarterback in Miami. And I still think Miami should trade for Bryce Young, a la like the Sam Howell trade. Because if you look at what Bryce Young does best, he is a timing passer. He is a point guard. When all of his cleats are in the ground, 1, 2, 3, boom, the ball's out. He can throw really well. Think about what the Dolphins do with all the RPOs and the spacing in that offense. That is exactly what Bryce Young needs. He and Tua are, I'm not going to say they're the same player because that wouldn't be fair to Tua, who I think has grown in some different ways, but they're very similar players in how they win. So I think Miami would be the only spot. But again, not every team has like the 3 fastest players in the league. So I'd really say that's the only spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm giving them that.
We're not giving no grace. We're not giving no grace.
I'll reserve my hotter takes for the end of the year, but I'm just like, hey man, I feel like if Bryce Young didn't have that Bryce Young jersey on and we remembered everything that he did at Alabama, we'd be talking about him like Desmond Ridder. Like we'd be real done with it, but it's like, hey man, look what he did at Alabama, so we holding on. But I don't know. I've seen less reason to be encouraged about his growth as an NFL player than I've seen about like Malik Willis. Well, I don't want to go that far. Malik Willis is absolutely shown. Well, they did win last week. So.
Okay, let's hold on because
they ran the ball.
I'm right about Malik Willis. I'm right about the Packers and Malik Willis. He only threw the ball like 3 times.
Yeah, come on now.
Like, that's not fair.
It's better than Malik Willis. It's better than
that
Malik
is not fair.
It's better than Malik. But is it better than Kenny Pickett? That's see, this is exactly
I think
it should not be
better than Kenny Pickett because it hasn't gotten as toxic as Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett didn't want to go back into a game. Like that was a very real thing that happened last year. And Deontay Johnson did not like Kenny Pickett. I don't think we've gotten to that point with Bryce Young yet.
I think he's more likable than Kenny Pickett for sure. But I think if you had to go out there and win a football game and you looking at Bryce Young and Kenny Pickett, I might pick Kenny Pickett, and I think Kenny Pickett stinks, brother. like
I'm 100% picking Kenny. I'm sorry.
I'm like, at least I know he can hit George Pickens. Like,
But what if you don't got George Pickens? What if you got Adam Thielen?
hey, I've seen it with Kenny. I ain't seen nothing with Bryce where I'm like, yeah, man, he can do that. Like, all I see with Bryce is just pain.
Just
yes.
pain.
For him, it's just physical pain.
He just looks sad. And I'm sad for him.
Like, I don't think we've gotten one play with Bryce Young where you're like, man, that's why he got drafted #1 overall. It's like some stuff where it's like, hey, it could have been better if like this is there and he gets better blocking. And I feel like we hanging on to what Bryce Young gave us in college, and he gave us a lot. He was such a good college football player, but it just has not even been close to that in the NFL.
Bryce Young's best game statistically was against Green Bay last year where he threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. They also lost that game 33-30. So it's very few and far in between. I want to believe, I want to have hope, but it is so difficult.
For Bryce Young was that like Andy Dalton came in for one game. It was like in the middle of his like worst stretch, and Andy Dalton came in, threw for 300. Adam Thielen looked fine, and he was like, "Damn, bro, is it them?"
It might be him. It was Seahawks game. Andy Dalton threw for 361, which is the most any quarterback threw for on the Panthers last year. It's so difficult to.
Somebody been passing around that pamphlet in the locker room too for him to get benched in week 2.
And he had to have lost the locker room for it to happen week 2. Like, that's really bad.
And this is what I'm saying, JP. How does a man that nice, that likable, lose the locker room this fast? Like, I understood how Baker Mayfield lost the locker room in 8 weeks because Baker Mayfield can be a jerk, right? It's not hard to turn the locker room against him. Bryce Young's so nice, and you know it hurt them to turn against him.
But I think it was also Dave Canales trying to save the veterans in that locker room who want to win, because they added a lot of vets. They shockingly added a lot of vets.
They got Jadeveon Clowney on that team, don't they?
Yes.
That's the worst person to have in a situation like this.
He's wearing a single-digit number too.
He wearing 7 again?
Yeah, he wearing 7 again.
He come back home.
He went back home, changed the jersey number, and now they getting 40 ball by the Saints.
Hey,
like that's rough.
Embarrassed in front of his kinfolk. That's not cool. That's
not cool. You getting embarrassed in front of the family.
You out here like, yeah, I'm back in front of home.
Yeah,
we know who led the mutiny. We know who led the
Leggett there too. He from there. Like, they got a lot of dudes from South Carolina on that team. Yeah.
They was like, nah.
The biggest thing is against the Chargers, they only had 159 total yards.
That's crazy.
But you know how hard it is to have under 200 yards of total offense?
Did we also remember how bad the Chargers defense was last year?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Chargers. I'm not going to say they're good, but I mean,
they must be significant. Boy, Brandon Staley looks bad, dog.
Oh boy, they have that team playing physical. That's the biggest thing. And being physical wins you a lot of games. It's shocker, like being more physical than the other team. Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa have played the best football of their careers early. Puda Ford has been awesome. We have to hedge for they've played the Raiders and the Panthers through the first 2 games. But again, they play Pittsburgh on Sunday. They have Kansas City, which will probably be a loss. Then they're bye, but you're at Denver, at Arizona, New Orleans, Cleveland, Tennessee. Those are some winnable games. Like, I'm not saying like we're preparing for like 10-win Chargers in Jim Harbaugh's first year, but that team might be sneaky, especially if they keep playing like this.
I just wonder how much running the 2021 Ravens running backs 34 times a game that's gonna work. Like, I have to imagine the wheels gonna have to fall off of that one eventually, because Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, that many carries, like nothing suggests that they're gonna be able to last the whole season.
Hey, real
Nick
quick. What
Robbins
does
needs the
JP's
NFL
hat say?
lawsuit.
What does JP's hat say? What does JP's hat
You know,
say?
Hey.
you know it. Run the damn ball.
Yeah, I gotta give him credit. He is resisting all the temptation in the world to throw the ball because he got a franchise quarterback out there. He's like, 20 attempts. Like, 20 attempts. We running this thing with two dudes that we didn't even have to compete with to get in free agency 32 times.
And you know what? Justin Herbert was 14 of 20.
Hey, I think Mr. Herbert is fine because he's not sore on Mondays
football.
anymore.
He don't have to worry about getting hit.
Mhm.
He don't got to worry about he don't have to worry about injury that much. Quentin Johnston's catching touchdown passes.
That's positive direction. You know
Jim Harbaugh really might be a miracle worker. He got Quentin Johnston catching passes.
I will say, as somebody who has paid attention to the Big Ten, this shit gonna end with Jim Harbaugh, dog. Like, it's been too magical of a run. Like, look, where we were with Jim Harbaugh 2 years ago does not make sense from where we got to now, because he was a joke not too long ago. This man was a meme. And then Ryan Day takes over for Ohio State, and everything changes for Jim
Why
Harbaugh.
did you do this? Why did you do this? We was talking about Jim. We wasn't talking about Ryan. We was talking about Jim. Why
We
you do
can't
that?
ignore the obvious, Cole. If Urban Meyer stays at Ohio State and doesn't go to Jacksonville, who knows what the NFL landscape looks like, right? We still might respect Urban Meyer. Remember when we had that? We done lost respect for Urban Meyer. By proxy, respect for all of his accomplishments in college football because of how badly the Jacksonville thing went. And then to put it on top, y'all done made John Harbaugh a folk hero again. And we were done with that. It was so over.
You know what's crazy? That still might not stop Urban Meyer from getting a college football job, because Florida's probably going to open in a couple of weeks. Who says you can't go back?
He can go back. He could go back.
It won't stop him.
Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. I blame Urban for all of this right now.
I would also like to blame Urban.
Yeah,
I can also blame Urban.
Is this the Blame Urban podcast? This the Blame
I
Urban?
would absolutely blame Urban Meyer for the state the Jaguars are in.
Michigan won a national championship. Like, Urban Meyer should be disgraced.
I don't think they won a national championship. They went undefeated.
Dog,
The championship.
that's crazy.
Without the
Michigan,
quarterback having to throw the ball.
they went a decade without beating their rival. Like, this is like, what would be more improbable? It'd be like in 3 years we talk about Florida State being on top of the world again. It's like, what happened? What happened, Florida? How did you let this happen on your watch? Like, I can't even come up with the proper comparison because it's that ludicrous on how Ohio State let this happen while they've had their most talented teams in the last 10 years. At the same time this is going on.
Look, it's like I don't know which wrestler. It's like whenever Edge couldn't beat John Cena, like he always lost to John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
That's Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day.
Mm-hmm.
You were really good, but you can't beat that guy.
Right.
You just can't beat him.
Oh God, I need him gone. I need him gone immedially.
It's crazy. Look what Ryan Day allowed to happen on his watch. Like, I can't believe Ohio State fans are still defending this. Like,
Who's still defending this?
every time I say something about Ryan Day, he's a good coach. Look at his record, Quincy. It's not just about your rivals. And when you start saying shit like that in college football, it's cooked. Like,
it's over.
Let it die. Once you start talking about it don't matter if you beat your rivals, you done played yourself out of rivalry game. Like, and the crazy thing was, that's where they were with Jim Harbaugh before Ryan Day took over.
Bro, nobody gives a fuck about those wins.
Rivalry? Do we even have to play them? Like,
nobody gives a fuck about those wins against Penn State and Wisconsin and Indiana. I don't give a shit about that.
Look, the rest of the Big Ten outside of Michigan is like high tier jobbers. It's like dudes who go in. It's like Dolph Ziggler in 2012. It's like, yeah, man, you gonna give Dolph a run so he can lose to John Cena, so John Cena can look good going into the pay-per-view. That's what Penn State is. Every single year, it's like, yeah, Ohio State need a top 10 ranked win. Penn State mess around with a couple games and then choke to Ohio State so that they can get that top 10 win to get to the playoff. But damn, now Ohio State out here losing to Michigan like that.
I was gonna say now that's Ohio State.
Job it.
Don't pick up a win against Penn State before you lose.
Randy Orton versus John Cena looking ass over here. Just can't get the big one. Like,
Listen, it's
and
okay.
the funniest thing is,
Okay.
it's just a different. They've beaten Ohio State in so many different ways. Like first time, it was the defense just absolutely took over.
mm-hmm.
Then, JJ McCarthy completely lost his mind and threw like 4 touchdowns. And then the last time they just ran for 200 yards. Like it's been different every single year. And at that point, it's like, hey man,
screens down 20.
It is what it
I
is.
couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I can't. Every time Ryan Day finds a new way to piss me off. It's so amazing. It's
Like
amazing.
I don't know, man. Maybe you just ain't got it against that dude.
And don't get me started on that.
Hey, JP, let's not even sugarcoat it. It ain't even against that dude. They lost to the homie who took the charge last year. They lost to Mr. I'll take the charge for you. Mr. Outside a contract that has nothing in it. Like
They literally gave him a blank check, a blank piece of paper.
He's still working out his contract. Like
They got him a 360 deal.
no, that man too loyal. Okay, like,
They saw
Ryan
him
Day, look
crying.
what you allowed yourself to be. Look what
They
you
saw
allowed
him
yourself to be.
crying
Ryan
against
Day.
Penn State. It was like, oh, we got him. We got him. He gonna do anything.
oh man. Ohio State. What? And it's crazy because you had Marvin Harrison Jr. and the greatest quarterback to ever grace your campus in this time period. That's
Bro,
crazy.
You watch CJ Stroud in the NFL. Every time I watch CJ Stroud, I'm like, how the fuck did Ryan Day not win a national championship
Hey,
with this
and
motherfucker?
Ryan Day was throwing screens with this motherfucker.
Punting on 4th and 2 at midfield. Like, yeah.
With him and Marvin Harrison Jr., dog.
Hey,
We
in
not winning.
retrospect, given how things have gone, it is absolutely a war crime that we did not undoubtedly believe CJ Stroud was a much better prospect than Bryce Young going into that draft class. Like, that is absolute malpractice on Ryan Day's part.
It was such a weird draft because most people had CJ Stroud QB1, but every mock draft had Bryce Young, which I think says a lot more about the Panthers
than
than
anything.
anything else.
They were the only team willing to do it.
They were the only team that was like, I think up until like late March, I had CJ Stroud going first overall. But then the rumors started to pop up about like the Panthers going to Bryce Young's pro day and being super impressed. The bullshit S2 thing. And I'm like, oh, they're actually going to do it. Like they're actually going to take Bryce Young first overall. I don't know, man.
By the way,
Panthers are a weird team.
I'll never forgive the media for allowing Brady Quinn to be an authority on who can do cognitive testing because I've seen that motherfucker play football. Okay.
Brady Quinn having any voice about anything.
Brady Quinn never got to a second read to save his life. Okay. In the NFL.
That's like during the Sunday night game against with Texans against the Bears, and David Carr's like, man, Caleb Williams getting killed out there. I'm like, that was you.
Yeah, remind you of anything, dog?
Like, come on, man.
He's got to protect himself. Did you?
Like, what are we doing here?
But yeah, man. Michigan, Ohio State. I can't believe y'all let this happen. And now Jim Harbaugh is about to get the ultimate. Okay, he's about to win more games than Urban Meyer did his whole NFL career, like a month.
That's not that hard. That man only coached like 10 games.
Did he win 2?
He won 2 games. He beat the Bills at home, which is the funniest game I think I've ever seen. It was like 9-6.
Damn.
And they poured Gatorade on Urban Meyer. After that game, and then after the London game against the Dolphins, like
Hey,
was really bad.
we should have known the Dolphins weren't serious right then and there. This is not a serious football
That
team.
wasn't Mike McDaniel yet, right? That was
No, that was pre-Mike McDaniel. That was Brian Flores.
Oh, damn.
That was when Brian
Yeah.
Flores was actively talking about how he didn't want to play his.
That was when Brian Flores actively is talking to the media about how he hates his quarterback.
I need somebody like Jacoby in there.
Like, it's again, it's the funniest thing to see the Bills where they are now, knowing that like y'all lost to Urban Meyer like 3 years ago. Like, that is still the funniest thing to me. And like, again, I think Josh Allen is, I believe he's 0-3 against the Jaguars.
That's crazy.
Which is hilarious because like Josh Allen's really good. Like it, I swear,
had some weird game because didn't he throw like 4 interceptions to like Josh Allen in one of those games?
Yes. Yes. So his rookie year, I think they beat the Jaguars. He's 1-2. He beat them his rookie year, but the last 2 seasons he has not beaten the Jaguars. And one of those was with Urban Meyer playing quarterback, and that game ended 9-6. Like, that is nobody scored a touchdown, which is the funniest thing of all time.
All right, let's get to our next one. Is Derek Carr good again? Like, are we back in this
year, baby?
Huh?
Election year Derek Carr is the divine beast from Yu-Gi-Oh. Like,
some prayers started hitting. Like
every 4 years, he just turns up.
I was like, oh my God, he's back.
That was just the weirdest thing. In 2016, he was a Pro Bowler. 2020, he was playing really good with the Raiders under John Gruden. And now we're back at this point in 2024.
It's like the rapture, but like Derek Carr just plays good football. like every time. Like, what is going on with Derek Carr? He's just playing good football. Is it Clint Kubiak or is it just Derek Carr playing? I have no idea what to make of this because it's such a weird trend with him.
So I think it's large majority of his Clint Kubiak and what he brought from San Francisco, because what they're able to do is they're able to keep teams in their base personnel while still being able to be super dynamic and super explosive out of their base personnel. So one of the big Rashid Shaheed touchdown, it's Rashid Shaheed on the field, Chris Olave, a tight end, Kamara, and a fullback. It's 21 personnel. They should not be able to throw the ball deep out of that. Mm-hmm. But the way that this offense is designed and structured, you're able to get those bigger guys on the field. And then Derek Carr's just throwing in the open windows. It's like San Francisco's offense, but in New Orleans with less all-pro caliber players. I don't know how they've managed to turn Taysom Hill into what he is, but he's playing running back. He's got his hand in the dirt as a fullback. He's playing tight end. It's such an impressive offense because of how it's designed, but they're making use of their positionless players. So like every time Taysom Hill was in the game last year with Pete Carmichael, it was like, oh, Taysom Hill, he's going to get the ball. He's going to run it. But now it's like, oh, he could block. He can motion out. Like, it's all this offense is making use of basketball on grass. You have a bunch of versatile players.
So you telling me Taysom Hill is filling the role that Urban Meyer wanted?
Yes.
Tebow to fill?
Yes.
At 34 years old?
Taysom Hill is if Sean Payton drafted Tim Tebow. That's exactly what Taysom Hill is.
It's shocking to me that Taysom Hill is 34 and doing all of this. Like, usually moving around and doing all of this stuff. Yeah, like, I'm shocked we've seen his career go from maybe he could play quarterback to he's really just a running back to, okay, he's kind of a specialty piece for a wide receiver. And now he done got all the way to tight end. Like, they like, nah, man, the athleticism is going, but we going to find something for you, Taysom. Like,
the way I describe it is he just be out there doing shit. He just does shit. I don't know what he's doing. He just he is the positionless football player because he's not super great at any position, but he's just fine at every position. Like, he's
Taysom Hill, man. Way to make it happen.
I did not realize he was 34, bro.
Hey, dog, he's been in the league for like 10 years.
I did not realize he'd been in the league this long.
10 years, no position. I can't hate on that.
That is incredible levels of committed to the grind. That man was playing punt gunner. Back when the Saints had a QB controversy, they were like, Taysom Hill should start. That man is playing punt gunner. You don't want him playing quarterback.
Get that pension, man. Get that pension.
Hey, that's all that matters. Check clears on Friday. I got nothing but respect for you.
Hey, bro. Shout out to Taysom Hill, but you're still finding a way to make it happen. All right, let's go through some of these teams that are 2-0 and that are 0-2 and see where our meter is on them. I'll let y'all start.
You want to make people mad real quick? Let's make people mad real quick. Let's make people mad real quick. Let's start off with 2-0 frauds. You know what team I want to start off. JP, how you feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers, man?
Mike Tomlin has to be enjoying himself. He really does. Because this team is no different from any of the Mike Tomlin teams that they have had previously. It's just TJ Watt is healthy and Justin Fields does one big thing with his arm or legs in the entire game. I think this team is the same team as they were last year, but that team made the playoffs. So, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how he keeps doing it. Like, I think there are only 4 teams in the NFL left who have not scored a touchdown. Let me see.
They thrown one touchdown, I think, to Darnell Washington.
Yeah, before the Broncos game, there were a few teams that had not scored a single touchdown offensively. Or no, there were 4 offenses that have scored 1 touchdown through 2 weeks. The 1-1 Chicago Bears, the 0-2 Carolina Panthers.
Was the Bears touchdown offensive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They scored on Sunday.
Okay.
On like a DeAndre Swift touchdown. The 0-2 Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
And the 2-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. They're one of the only teams that haven't scored an offense, have only scored 1 offensive touchdown through 2 weeks. And that's just how Mike Tomlin likes it. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but I don't know if it's sustainable. But again, I say this every year. He can't keep getting away with it.
Hey, bro, this is like when Sierra Mist got rebranded into Starry. New colors, same shit. It is the same exact thing. They did all this. Oh, we gonna change out the offensive coordinator. We gonna get new quarterbacks. They got all that new branding around the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then you watch them, you're like, they went in the same fucking way. This is the same shit we saw last year.
It's the same team, but at least Justin Fields can run.
Yeah,
like Justin Fields can run, and he should not give up that starting job because of that ability to run. But look,
that's where it could fall apart for Pittsburgh, right? To me, it's like, okay, this thing really only works because you're getting so much production out of Justin Fields running the ball. And I know people are like, oh, well, Russ can throw the ball a little bit more accurately. So I'm like, I would not make the trade-off of maybe 20 more passing yards and not get the 60 on the ground that Justin Fields is capable of getting you, and the amount of first downs that accumulates versus what Russ does, where he takes a ton of sacks. If they play Russ, this ain't gonna work. And and that is my question for them is are they gonna be competent enough, which Pittsburgh, that's usually what they hang their hat on, is competence. Are they gonna be competent enough to resist the urge of putting Russell Wilson back in there because that's who y'all said would be the starter? Or are they just gonna go with Justin Fields for the rest of the year? They go with Justin Fields, they'll win 10 games, they might make the playoffs, they'll be over 500, they'll be the same team they've always been the last few years, and they'll be able to get away with it. But if they play Russell Wilson, I think that's where you have the opportunity to get worse, because I think it's going to put more stress on the defense. It's going to put more stress on the offense. And hey, I would be concerned about the offense because the Broncos stink.
The Broncos are really bad.
The Broncos are putrid. And I know it's early. It's only 2 games into it, but Bo Nix looks like everybody who watched Bo Nix closely in pre-draft thought Bo Nix would look like a 3rd-round quarterback. That's what it looks like out there. A dude who you're playing. This don't look that different from when we played Cody Kessler, right?
Nope.
We don't play 3rd-round picks. And this his one highlight was a flea flicker that he fucking underthrew to Josh Reynolds, and Josh Reynolds had to come back and make a big play on it. And then right after that, he throws a red zone interception right in the back of the end zone.
And the interception,
I was watching the Broncos and I was like, they were at no point were the Broncos a threat. They were harmless in this game.
The interception Bo Nix threw, he talked about it after the game, and it is the funniest answer I think I've ever heard him give. He's like, hey man, what happened on the interception? He's like, yeah, drop back, threw it to the other team. End of
Don't
the
even
answer.
know. That's
Okay.
so
And
bad.
I was
Don't
like,
even
look,
know. No idea what he did.
he's like,
He in the same boat as us.
drop back, threw it to the other team. And I'm like, you
All
are
right.
too early into your career to be this like harsh to the media. You're too early to be giving these short,
He's
like
prepared, dog.
sarcastic
It's about he knows. Look, he went through that honeymoon period where people had never were really convincing themselves really hard about this whole Bo Nix thing about the work, right? That they done fool with everybody because they had a good preseason and how they about to show the world. Well, let me tell you something. I've lived through quarterback hype cycles. I've seen it happen up close and personal. When you get that excited about a quarterback and he plays like this, ooh, the negativity that rains down on that poor bastard is about to be insane, dog. Like the worst thing you can have for a mediocre quarterback is a ton of hope. Like that's what got people so sick of Kenny Pickett so quickly. It wasn't just because he was mediocre. It's because they thought he was good. And that's the thing. They thought Bo Nix was good. And he can't get more than 13 points at home when the Steelers are basically like, here's 7, bro. Take it. Take it.
So the one thing I am worried about with the Steelers is they still can't run the ball at all. They're 29th in rush success rate and 29th in EPA, which means like as a team, they are not consistently getting yards on the ground, nor are they explosive. And passing, their success rate is like 25th in the league, but they're 15th in EPA, which means they're just their entire offense is Justin Fields explosives. And I don't know how long or how sustainable that is because you're playing into the volatility of Justin Fields. Like he was doing the same thing that he was doing in Chicago. Like he has the one like super huge downfield throw. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be. So unless they can continue to build the in-between game of that offense or run the ball a little better, I don't know if it's going to work.
Y'all know what I think about Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris is just a generic running back out there. Like you anything you get with Najee, you get with almost any other running back. He is a bland pair of like Air Force Ones. Like he's just a generic status, like running back number 2, 70 overall as running back I've ever seen in my life. Like he's big, but he's not fast. He could break some tackles, but he can't really do nothing with it. He's not terrible. You're gonna be able to have like 3.5 a carry with him. That's pretty much what he's been his whole career. Is like under 4. He hasn't really been spectacular. Y'all know I think Jalen Ward better, but like I also think Jalen Ward is not somebody you could just give all the carries to, right? Like you got to have somebody else in there, and I think you got to have something a little bit better than Najee Harris if you're gonna have your whole game plan be we gonna run this thing, right? Like you can't have it be centered around Najee's gonna get the bulk of the carries. And I think that's ultimately where Pittsburgh's offense keeps running up a wall. Now you got Justin Fields in there that does add an extra element to that rushing attack. And again, that's why I'm like, hey, if you just throw Russ in there, it's going to be way easier to stop all of this.
It's going to be a lot easier to stop the run when you have a quarterback in there that can't run.
Oh, yeah, that they have no fear of running on you anymore, right? Like, so it is not like you're like scared of a Russ deep ball because even if you're a safety and you don't play the pass immediately on the play action. Well, Russ ball ain't gonna get there that fast. You got time to run under it and get to the wide receiver. It's not going. You gonna throw that fucking rainbow. You got time. You're not gonna get beat quickly off no rush shit. So that's where I'm at with Pittsburgh. Cole, where you at with Pittsburgh?
Man, you know where I'm at with Pittsburgh. I will say this about the Steelers, though. I will say this. I hate how they win games, but I respect how they win games. It's like a little pamphlet they hand out to the team. This is what we gonna do. We do this every year. This is what we gonna do. We're gonna run the ball, or at least try to. We're gonna play good defense. We are not gonna turn the ball over. And more than anything else, we are simply going to wait for the other team to do something fucking stupid. And as soon as they do that, that's how we gonna win the game. That's how they win games. Yeah. Week two against us. That's what they did. They just waited for us. They waited for the Browns to do something stupid, and the Browns did something stupid, and they won the game. Like that. That's how they do it. They're going to win 9 games or 10 games, maybe even 11 games. They're gonna make the playoffs, and then they're gonna play a good team, and they're gonna lose.
So you say Mike Tomlin out there playing judo ball?
Listen, man, he trying to protect the street. Mike is trying to protect the street
look,
at
he out
all
here just
costs.
self-defense.
Mike Tomlin,
Just self-defense. Give me an open.
Mike Tomlin is the dude in the fight that used to be a wrestler. You never want to fight a wrestler because they will just put you in a sleeper hold, and that fight ends immediately without having to do much. That's the Steelers. You mess up, they'll put you in a headlock, and then fight's over. The game's over. Unless you know how to break out of that headlock, it's over.
And it's also like a little dude that know how to wrestle. It's not like a big guy, because it's a loss that you take, and you like, man, I really shouldn't have taken that loss. Every time you lose to the Steelers, you never feel like, hey, better team won. You always feel like, hey, man, we really should have won that game.
Like you never feel good coming out of a Pittsburgh Steelers game. Whether you win or you lose, nobody feels good about it at the end.
Mm-hmm. They just try to drag you down there in the mud. What about Minnesota? Are we believing in Minnesota? 2-0, beat the 49ers. And it's not like the 49ers look bad in week 1.
The 49ers can't beat the Vikings, first and foremost. Like they can't do it. I don't know what it is about it, but they cannot beat the Minnesota
Sam
Vikings.
Darnold do the plays? Is that what we gonna go with?
I'm just saying they can't do it. They lost to him last year too when Kirk was there. They can't beat the Vikings.
Well, to be fair, they played Kirk in prime time, and that's just not when you want to go at Kirk Cousins.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Barely last 4 years. He's been undefeated. Hey, look, ask Jalen Hurts about him.
But no, I'm not believing in the Vikings. First and foremost, Justin Jefferson just got hurt, so I definitely can't believe in them now. Like, what's that offense going to look like without Justin?
Jordan
Jefferson?
Addison didn't get suspended, right, for the DUI? Did he?
Mm-mm. He was just hurt.
He's just hurt. Who they throwing the ball to?
I am a believer in the Vikings.
Ooh,
I'm a believer because I think this team is incredibly well coached. Like
that's the thing. I think Kevin good.
But we talked about with the Steelers earlier. Good coaching will take you a long way, especially on both sides of the ball. Kevin O'Connell, even after Justin Jefferson got hurt, the way that they're able to design this offense so Sam Darnold doesn't have to be the superhero. Their run game looks really good, and that's actually an area where I'm really concerned for San Francisco. They can't stop the run up front, but they were able to run the ball really well. I think the Vikings had like a 60% success rate on the ground, which is insane to say about a 49ers defense. But when you're able to run that ball that well, and then you have Brian Flores on defense just consistently drawing up defenses that cause havoc. They're able to create problems for the other side of the ball. I'm a believer. I think they've got this team playing really well. I'm curious to see how they get around not having Justin Jefferson and against a quarterback that actually can diagnose a blitz by himself. But I'm curious, and I'm in for the Vikings. I'll count myself in.
JP, if they had literally anybody else play a quarterback, I might be with you. But Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold. And he done played all the good football. He's going to play 2 good games for Sam Darnold. We usually know, okay, he's about to hit his max, and we about to see Sam Darnold for the rest of the year. Like, I don't know who this man is that's been playing quarterback the last couple of weeks. And look, we've seen Sam Darnold with a good coach. We've seen him with Kyle Shanahan.
Have we seen Sam Darnold with as good of a play caller as Kevin O'Connell?
He had Kyle Shanahan last year.
And he was a backup. Like, that doesn't count.
Yeah. I mean, all these things are true, JP, but the problem with Sam Darnold hasn't been the play call. It's been the decision-making for Sam Darnold his whole career. And
that's fair.
Yeah, eventually when Justin Jefferson's not there to provide easy answers, you're going to have to rely on him to make answers, and then he's going to throw an interception, and he's going to do that Sam Darnold thing where he starts snowballing, and it is going to be what it is with Sam. I just have no faith in him, me personally. What about the Bucks?
I'm in. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Buccaneers.
I'm in. I'm in with the
I'm
Buccaneers.
You're in?
I'm in. Wow, we back on the Baker bandwagon after all these years? We back?
See, this is why I'm real hesitant. Everybody's jumping on it. I'm like, this is where he hurts you. Like, when everybody believes he has gotten over all of his issues, I legitimately am like, nah, he looks like he's gotten over his issues. And every time I felt that way about him in the Cleveland Browns uniform, he would come out and make me look so bad the next week. every time. So I am just hesitant to go with it. But I think what the Buccaneers do well isn't necessarily is predicated around Baker, is like some of the Brown stuff was trying to be back in like 2021. So I think there's a chance that they can survive even if Baker Mayfield does have some down games. I don't think he's going to – I think he stopped himself from completely imploding. We have not seen a Baker Mayfield 4 interception special in a very long time, I think, right? It hasn't been since Carolina.
But
It's been a while.
I think I'm in with the Bucs because, again, they're incredibly well coached and they're able to maximize the guys that they have. I mean, we talked about Baker. Liam Cohen is doing a great job of designing that offense really well and fitting to his strengths. And it really helps to have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on the team as well. And the growth that Baker's shown and just the trust that he's shown in Mike Evans has grown a lot. But, again, Todd Bowles can coach the hell out of a defense.
And the one thing with Baker, I think he has made a significant improvement in. He used to be obsessed with trying to get everybody a target, and like he stopped that shit. Like he's just, and that is usually you want your quarterback to spread it out, but I'm like, nah. Sometimes you just got Mike Evans on the squad and you need to throw him the ball, right? So
you don't got to spread the ball out.
You ain't got to be the show.
Not every basketball team needs everybody taking about 5-7 shots a game. Somebody got to be Kobe.
It felt like his ego was like the biggest thing in his way, and it seems like he's made some strides there with his ego that feel real tangible. So I think that they're going to be a playoff team. I mean, they're going to be a pretty good playoff team in the NFC. Here's a team that I might be in the minority about: Houston Texans.
Are you not in?
I've seen no reason not to be in on them.
Yeah, Q. Like, are you not in? Tell us why you're not in.
I wasn't in preseason because I'm like, it's just a lot on a super young team. Like, they added a lot. It's Stephon Diggs. They're still in their second year of their head coach's experience, second year CJ Stroud. It just seems like a whole lot of expectations for a team that kind of came out of nowhere last year. They're talented. I'm not taking that away from them. And one thing I've seen in these last 2 weeks, they played Indianapolis, who does not look like they're going to be good this year. I think I might have been wrong on hoping that Indy has a resurgence here with AR-15. Well, he don't like that. Anthony Richardson. And they struggled to close against Indy. And then the Chicago game, they let Chicago hang in there far too long. For as bad as Chicago was in that game, I thought that they hung around there. And I'm interested to see if this is a team that we start to feel different about once they play teams that are on their level and giving them a bit of a stronger effort than they would have given the Texans last year, given that they kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm just iffy on it. Like, I think it's a lot. Like, people are saying that CJ gonna win MVP and that this is a team that's a favorite to come out the AFC. And I just don't know a lot of teams that their leadership is in their second year of the NFL that are able to live up to that kind of pressure. Usually that has some kind of implosion effect. They look good. Nico Collins looks great. Stephon Diggs looks good. They doing that Bengals thing, though, where like sometimes you see this offense and you see the vision and it looks exactly like you think it is. And then they have these weird sports where they don't score. They haven't put up as many points as I think a lot of people anticipated they would in the first 2 weeks of the season. It's not red flags that I'm seeing with the Texans. They're like beige flags, right? They're kind of there. You can ignore them and it might be possible that they're into nothing. But I do think that I would like to see what they look like against a team that's a bit more on the same footing as them talent-wise before I really go anywhere with how I feel about what they're going to do this season.
I hear you, and I also think a lot of it is due to the play calling. I think Bobby Slowick is a really good play caller, but sometimes he's really inconsistent. And I think that's what happened against the Bears. The play calling just got really weird towards the end. Like they thought the game was already in hand, but the offense has not played to its potential yet, while the defense has played really, really good. And if they can get that positive, if they can get that growth from the defense, while waiting on the offense to figure it out, eventually that offense is going to figure it out with the defense. And that defense has played really well. It looks like a 49ers team. They look like a 49ers defense with the speed and the aggression that they have. Danielle Hunter is amazing. He's such an amazing.
Absolutely swallowed Caleb Williams for like.
when both his feet left the ground, I audibly was like, "Oh no!"
Cole. This goes back to a conversation. What's going on with Caleb Williams right now that we had about look, man. I understand that I have no problem with how Caleb Williams kicks it, but we not playing defensive end in the NFL, and some of those dudes have a bit more problematic politics than us. And
I forgot we had this conversation.
Yeah.
Listen,
and they might be waiting, dog, like that. We see this happen. We see this go down.
All right, JP, some context really quick. So, like we was talking, so obviously everybody knows, Caleb paints his nails, and me and Q personally, individually, have no issue with that whatsoever.
He had the lavender phone too,
But we also acknowledge that there are men in the NFL who may not be too fond of that.
Who care more about the traditional family values.
Very conservative, some conservative individuals who play defensive tackle and defensive end.
You know what? I can't say I disagree. It makes sense. I get it.
Because people were like saying his teammates ain't gonna have a problem with it. I'm like, that's not who to concern. His teammates gonna like him. He seemed like a good dude. But like them people who don't know him.
Look, every team has.
Do they play the 49ers?
Alignment. Every team has alignment with questionable political beliefs, whether it be offensive or defensive. Just
who's the dude on the Denver Broncos?
Who's talking about?
It was he played for the Ravens for 1 year. And then
Derek Wolfe.
Yeah.
Derek Wolfe?
Yeah, Derek Wolfe.
Every team has a Derek Wolfe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey,
and you not gonna guess?
49ers?
Huh?
Do they play the 49ers?
That's what I'm saying. Do they play the 49ers or the Chargers?
Because Nick Bosa gonna have something to say about that.
Hey,
behind that offensive line, it's gonna be a long day.
All I'm saying is homie might have gave the game away with that one because that was a bit unnecessary. I was like, you was way too excited to tackle. Did you call him entitled and Gen Z too? Also, another thing here that we need to keep in mind, it might not even be about politics at the end of the day. Caleb Williams is the most Gen Z motherfucker in the league right now. And what the league full of? A bunch of old, angry millennials, okay? You can't stand how they kick it. You heard Kendrick's new song? Kendrick's new song might have been, I don't like them new motherfuckers. That's what Kendrick's song was, right? And it's a lot of dudes in the league that don't like these new motherfuckers. And that tackle right there was like, man, I can't stand you new motherfuckers right there.
It was so funny because everybody had the same reaction as Danielle Hunter left the air. Danielle Hunter was a big
he had
dude.
no reason to do that.
Danielle Hunter was like 6'6", 270. What the fuck are you doing jumping? Why are you jumping?
That tackle was so hard, it happened in slow motion for everybody who saw it. We just went, damn.
Caleb Williams is 6'1". There's no reason to jump and hit him.
Hey, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When he jumped up like that, I was like, "Oh, they throwing the flag for sure."
I thought
they throwing the flag for sure.
He should have did the Drew Brees used to do this all the time. Eric, whenever somebody tried to jump and sack him, he duck, so they make him hit him in the head. It'd be a flag. Caleb got to learn to duck. He got to learn to duck.
He got to learn a whole bunch of stuff behind that offensive line.
Yeah,
he got to let it die. That's what Caleb got to learn. This is not USC. These are not the Pac-12. Hey, bro, I understand you can escape, but why?
No, it's not even that. It's the escape sometimes works, but when it doesn't, it is incredibly bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst because he's figuring out like a lot of these guys are just as athletic as him. I was shocked Will Anderson didn't get him the first time. Where he like spun out of it. He got him later, but I was surprised Will Anderson didn't get him more times. Like I think he was on like 37 dropbacks. He was hit on like 36 of them.
Yep. 36 pressures on 37 dropbacks.
That's an incredible level of efficiency.
Hey, man.
1. 2, that is the most we don't respect your offensive line stat ever, because all they did was blitz. All they did was send stunts and say, hey, you better learn how to pick one of these up or you'll be picking up your quarterback off the turf. Shout out to Aziz Al-Shair, FAU alum. Good job not getting flagged for a punch. The clearest punch I have ever seen in the sport.
Oh, real quick aside. There are 2 penalties that happened this past week where the rest absolutely should have thrown the flag, and they either picked it up or just didn't throw it at all. That was the first one. And then yesterday when Gardner-Johnson ripped his helmet off. And then lied his helmet off. And then lied and said, no, they hit me and they hit me and it came off.
I don't think he lied. But he definitely took advantage of the situation.
When you make a play like that, you should be able to take your helmet off. You should be able to take your helmet off.
Look,
but
CJ,
I don't know what Aziz was thinking. I think he just got over to the Bears sideline, saw one motherfucker in orange, and was like, I'm swinging. The funniest thing is Deshaun Johnson didn't even play in this game. He wasn't on the field. There's no interaction between the two. Aziz just gets up and bam, punches the first guy that he sees. I would have flopped. I think the reason he didn't get flagged was because Deshaun was like, oh my God, he didn't fall. I would have been like LeBron out there. I would have acted like somebody shot me.
Am I bleeding?
I would have been on the ground.
Am I bleeding when you got your helmet? When you got your helmet on? Am I bleeding?
I saw on Twitter that JP was like, man, why does Chauncey Gardner-Johnson always get punched in the face? And
he's always getting punched.
And I'm just saying this right here. I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, but the name Chauncey just feels like somebody who gets punched in the face a lot. Like it just
wow.
Don't the name Chauncey strike you with somebody who always go too far?
I never seen Chauncey Billups get punched in the face.
I don't know. No, Chauncey Billups ain't like that. It was a movie. There's a movie where
that I know of. Never seen Chauncey Billups get punched in the face.
But I don't know what it is.
Well,
Gardner-Johnson. I don't know what it is, but every single time he's in the game, somebody is trying to punch him.
Hey,
like it's incredible efficiency. It's like Dylan Brooks level of like everybody hates you and wants to punch you, but you can't punch nobody in this sport because they'll get flagged.
Hey, that's just what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just takes advantage of whatever situation is in front of him. Same way when he felt that helmet falling off his head, he definitely pushed that shit off, right? Like to celebrate. The same way when he has an opportunity to, get a little in there as a quarter, he gonna do that. Like he just does the extra. He is the new Cortland Finnegan. Where like Cortland Finnegan always was like rubbing people the wrong way. Yeah, that's Chauncey.
The funny thing with Chauncey getting punched is like he started it. He pulled Ray McLeod's mouthpiece off his helmet and threw it. What do you mean I can't punch that dude? He just threw that like 5 feet away from me.
Only Akeem Talib could get away with that.
All I'm gonna say is that if he's a new Cortland Finnegan, always remember what Andre Johnson did when he caught Cortland Finnegan.
Hey, we don't quiet ones alone.
We gonna find Andre Johnson.
I ain't seen
Andre Johnson.
I ain't seen
enough time.
I ain't seen Jalen get in a fight since he started that shit with AJ Green. Like,
hey, AJ wanted to. AJ was trying to end that man.
AJ
Green strikes me as a man who prays after he fights.
Keeled dude ever. He lost his mind on that play. Like everybody was so stunned. They was like, "Oh my god!"
Jalen was stunned. He was like, "Hey man," he was like, "Chill."
Jalen was so stunned in the middle of an ass whooping. He went, "Hey, what's going on right here?"
It's like when Draymond choked out Rudy, and Rudy just sitting there like somebody.
Hey, don't bring that up. Hey, Q, you want to talk about that? You want to talk about that, Q? You want to talk about your take on that immediately after it happened?
I just wonder where Cat was,
Okay. Okay. No, I'm snitching. First thing Q said was, man, should have been Cat.
No shot. What did he do?
Why?
What did Cat do? What
giving me cauliflower rice one time. You know how I feel about that? And he knew too, damn it.
He tweeted it too. I was like, hey,
I made sure I did not tweet it with context where people could tell what I was saying.
but I knew what you were saying.
But Pope saw it.
You cannot tweet that. just the one. It should have been Cat. Like what?
Yeah, I can't tweet like that no more.
That's real hate. I was like, damn, bro. What did you do?
Bleacher Report
Like,
would
what
have
has he
canceled me,
done?
dog.
Ooh, that was funny. I'm sorry. That was hilarious.
Oh. All right, we got some super chats in here. Got a little negative for a second. The JP came back and reminded me that we're not the Jaguars. Y'all the best. See, look, you doing great things for the motive
What
out
you
here.
say fuck me for?
Hey, look, Ohio State fans, you could be Florida State.
What is happening right now?
You just reminded me. That is hella crazy. The Browns fans are like, you know what? I've learned to be grateful because
You're teaching Browns fans to be grateful for it. I hate the Jacksonville Jaguars. I hate this team.
Drake
that
London game winning route was disgusting. I agree.
Yeah,
It was.
nasty. That was nasty.
It made Darius Slay go out and tweet after the game.
Hey, bro, you tweet after you get cooked. That's bad.
He was like,
Let's rank them real quick. The top 3 ways you can tell a DB gets cooked: they tweet, they try to strip the ball violently, egregious pass interference. What are you ranking top 3?
Another one I'd like to add. Turning around and looking at somebody else as if there was a coverage bust.
Oh yeah. And then the classic to round it out, fake an injury. I got cramps. I'm shocked.
No,
Greg Newsom did not have a cramp after Brian Thomas just threw him off of him. He went with number 2. He tried to strip the ball violently. I was like, oh, you got cooked.
You know how it's real bad when they just do this.
No, you know the one. This is the I ass face of all DBs. Like where they turn around, they look at the scoreboard.
Yeah,
they
to
just
see the
watch
replay. This is like that.
And then the safety comes back and goes and taps him on the head. Come on, man, you got a champ. Yeah.
That's right. But as soon as you hear play the next play, it's like you got smoked. So, I still think it's the turnaround and point or like shrug.
Mm-hmm.
That's the go-to.
Oh
you
yeah,
always blame it on somebody else.
Oh, fantastic! Look, DBs have found a way to evade persecution. Like DBs will throw each other under the bus so quickly.
That point killed me every time. Nothing makes me more mad than that. That point that pisses me off.
Hey, John Johnson was the master of it because let me tell you, every time John Johnson fucked the coverage up, incredulous. What happened here?
Happened.
It's always like a 10, 12-year vets too, who always think like they just know the defense.
Trying to gaslight a rookie into thinking he's supposed to carry. Like, no, dog. That was you.
Don't tell me that.
Juan Thornhill did that week 1.
Juan
Thornhill
was insane for that.
I was so pissed. I was so pissed.
He pointed at somebody else as if Brandon Cooks was not the third receiver on the inside.
He pointed at Mark Emerson.
That was not like right at him.
He ran at you.
He ran his route towards your chest. What are you doing?
What did you think was going to happen?
You were the landmark for him. What are you talking about?
So angry. Pointed at Martin Emerson like he was the one who was supposed to be with him. No, he wasn't.
You like Cam? Zero. What the fuck? Cam Mitchell sitting on the bench. like you ain't signal. Yeah, hey, the play call ain't come in.
He ran past your face. What are you talking about?
The only position where there's like never a chance to like deny accountability is defensive line because like, hey dog, you just got to get up and strap back on, bro. Like
It's always the funniest when like the DBs get mad whenever a team's giving up like 6 yards of play on the ground, and they're just like throwing their hands up. It's like, do something. I always be like, you do it. You go do it. You go down there.
You off the field right now.
We'll switch. I'll go play corner, and you try and hit a 330-pound guard.
You tackle Travis Etienne going down.
Yeah, you try tackling.
See, you don't end up in a blue tent, okay?
Yeah, dog. That's also one where it's like you got to fake an injury.
Oh,
like there was a play. I think CJ Gardner-Johnson just absolutely got dusted by Bijan on a run and ended up like on the ground. I would have faked the injury.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be like, oh, cramp. I got to go.
You got to get sympathy. Like what Nick Chubb threw Josh Sweat on the ground one time. Josh Sweat stayed there. Okay. Like, just nope, not moving. Oh, man.
Come get the golf cart for me. Come get the golf cart.
Doing a hand thing.
Like,
hey, was that the one when Nick bounced his head off the turf? Is that the one you talking about?
Yeah, against the Eagles.
It looked like a ball. He just said, "Bow." I was like, "Oh shit!"
You know, everybody get your ass up, bro. Come on, like, we all seen it.
Hey, we all saw it. It's okay.
Come
man.
on, man, get up. Hey, like respect to Josh Norman because that one time he got through by Derrick Henry, he came up and talked shit like because he didn't get the first down immediately.
No, you can't talk shit after. He just threw you like Uncle Phil used to do jazz in Fresh Prince. That's all you heard. That's all you heard from Josh Norman.
You just see a blur fucking blue and white fly across the screen.
When the Jaguars played the Steelers in the divisional round of the playoffs, Malik Jackson was mic'd up. And the play before, he made a good play. And he's yelling like, I set edges. And then on the next play, he is one-on-one with Le'Veon Bell. And he makes Malik Jackson go to both knees and jukes him. And all you can hear from Malik Jackson is, oh. He said, oh.
Oh.
And I was like, damn.
That's all we got? Ooh.
Like he's just, oh.
Oh, man.
Oh,
wait, man. Hey, Q, we got to do
these the mic'd up moments they refuse to give us.
Right? We got to do the 0-2 team. We got to do the 0-2 teams that
Let's rapid fire through it because it's getting late. Let's rapid fire through it. All right. We'll go through. I'll name some teams. You tell me if you feel good or bad about them real quickly. Rams, horrible.
Bad, real bad.
Really bad there. Seattle. I feel like they're still Seattle.
I feel great.
They're always good at the beginning of the season with Gino. New Orleans.
Cautiously optimistic.
I think we've expressed our thoughts about Carolina here. Detroit, 1-1.
I'm optimistic, but I have some questions.
Okay. New York Giants.
Get ready to learn Carson Beck, buddy.
Oh, okay.
Going from Daniel Jones to Carson Beck. I would just wait a year, man. Like
Carson Beck is good. I don't know.
I like Carson Beck, but it's like I feel like you got a better shot next year. Like
with what?
I don't know.
You gonna let Drew Lock play?
Because like what I'm hearing already about Carson Beck is that he could be Kirk Cousins, and every time I hear that shit, I'm like, don't draft it. Like every time that is the upside for doing like Kirk Cousins was drafted in the 3rd fucking round. Like that can't be it. That can't be it right there for a number 1 overall pick. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see where we're at the end of the year. Kansas City, 2-0.
We'll see in the playoffs.
Yeah, we done learned our lesson.
We're
have you learned your lesson?
We're good here.
We're not betting against Pat. We're not betting against Pat.
I don't care how many interceptions he threw. Okay. I don't care how many interceptions.
We're not betting against Pat.
I think we talked about the Chargers. What about in Denver? We feel pretty sufficiently that they're a hopeless situation.
Yep. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Denver looks harmless. Like they look like a harmless team. Talked about Houston, Indy.
It's bad because that defense has given up 200 yards on the ground in 2 straight games.
Not good.
Ooh.
Jacksonville. I ain't gonna do this to you again.
Why you asking that? Why you asking
I ain't gonna
that?
do this to you again.
See, now you just be the asshole.
Tennessee.
Tennessee is such a funny team. No, it's not great.
Was it Will Levis out here falling to his knees at Marks? Like
Will Levis does the same thing every single week, which is throw the worst interception or have the worst turnover you have ever seen.
Kind of like how he did in college. Cincinnati.
I actually came away from that game a little more enthusiastic about Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do that thing where we convince ourselves that the Bengals suck, and then they like win a couple of games in a row, and then we're like, oh, the Bengals are good again.
They always do this at the beginning of the year. They always like start 0-4 because they don't treat the preseason like it matters.
Well, this year they did though.
Yeah, but they also like only played Joe Burrow once, and they had the T and Jamar stuff happen. Side note, Jamar, what the fuck are you doing?
Hey, look, that's the thing that concerns me about the Bengals.
Just let it go, man.
Oh, he ain't letting this go. He ain't letting this go.
That was the thing that concerns me about the Bengals, if anything, is like they don't feel as together as they usually are. And it kind of feels like they're a little bit distracted.
When it comes to money,
man, it's money.
And when it comes to money and you dealing with that motherfucker, like that's the thing.
Side note, shout out to Trey Hendrickson, FAU alum, who almost won that game for the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, when you're dealing with that man and you want your money, it's a whole different level of stress. Baltimore, they're on 2.
I'm a little concerned.
There we go.
We go. That offensive line is really bad.
3 new starters. We tried to tell everybody.
Bad. The reason the Raiders won that game is because Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins took over that game. I am really concerned about that offensive line that has not gelled together yet.
Is Sunday a must-win for the Baltimore Ravens against Dallas? Is this a you have to win this game, or is
Dallas?
Yeah.
Oh no, Lamar gonna be running for his life. It's an anxiety bowl for sure. Anxiety bowl for both teams.
I don't think they survive. I don't think they survive if they start the season 0-3 in the AFC North. I don't think you can do it.
I don't think you can. But I think it also depends, do the Bengals figure it out? Because if the Bengals and Ravens both start 0-3, then it gets really weird.
One thing with the Bengals, though, their defense isn't as good as it used to be. And I feel like that's going to be a problem because like their offense is not as automatic as some people assume now. And it becomes a problem. And like, to be fair to them, to be fair to Baltimore, Cincinnati still has the worst loss of the 2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Patriots. 100%
at home.
Oh, I actually think the Raiders one was worse.
You think the Raiders is worse?
Because the Ravens were up by double digits and lost that game at home to Gardner Minshew. I can at least say the Patriots have a really good defense, and Ramondre Stevenson is actually a really fun running back. So I can kind of rationalize, like, okay, I guess it was week 1, but you can't.
Brock Bowers kind of went off against it. Are you worried about linebacker play for the Ravens too?
I'm not worried about linebacker play per se. I'm more worried about the offense. I think the defense will be fine. I still think that team is incredibly talented, but if they're going to be out on the field for every single drive, then it slowly starts to get old.
All right. San Francisco, you worried or not?
It depends on how long it takes for Debo and Christian McCaffrey to get healthy. Debo, I think, is going on IR along with Christian McCaffrey. We gonna find out if Brock Purdy is the guy everybody says he is.
Hey, JP, every year they get hurt, and every year they don't look good, and then we wonder and we act like we about to find out. This happened last year. They lost like 4 games when they lost them to.
But I also think this 49ers defense also isn't as impenetrable as they used to be, especially up front. I mean, I'm pulling up the number now, but Minnesota largely had their way on the ground, which is a problem for this team. Minnesota finished the game with a 60% success rate running the ball, which means like 60% of the time they were getting at least like 4 or 5
every time.
Like that's bad. You cannot be bad against the run with Fred Warner in the middle of that defense, and they still are. So I'm not super concerned, but I got my eye on them.
Shout out Jordan Elliott, man.
Shout out Jordan. Got paid, man. Got paid.
Hey, they gave that man $5 million a year.
Oof.
I was surprised.
I was like, hey, you know what happened? Hey, Jim Schwartz worked miracles, bro. Jim
Hey,
Schwartz
man.
worked miracles.
They saw that 1 year tape. They saw him and Kevin saw the same thing. He could pass rush. Miami.
I am concerned because Tua is on IR and will
I was
not
just
come
about
back.
to tell you that.
Tua's on IR and will not come back until week 8.
Who's it?
So,
Skyler?
Yeah.
Thompson.
Or the Pro Bowler, our guy.
Oh yeah, Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, man.
Tyler
Let me
Huntley.
tell you something. You're not walking in 1 week and running that fucking offense. Like that is not.
No.
Like,
I think they're gonna have to. Mike McDaniel's gonna have to Matt LaFleur it for the next few weeks, and just do not even think about putting the ball in the air.
run that shit.
Just run that ball because they play Seattle in Seattle,
Right.
Tennessee,
Ooh.
New England on the road. They get a bye week, Indianapolis, and then Tua comes back against Arizona.
He's on an IR for a concussion.
Yes.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
a little
once you
scary.
start talking about missing like the normal amount of days, like you start talking about long-term concussion symptoms, it was like I think what Adam Cole was out for like a year because of concussions. Like, it ain't just straightforward with the fucking concussion thing. New York Jets.
I'm lukewarm on them. I
Okay.
still have questions.
I'm higher on them than I came into the season in with them, but I'm not sold. But I'm like, you know what? Aaron Rodgers doesn't look as bad as I thought he would look.
I don't think he looks as bad as I thought he did, but I don't know if he's at that level where they can win games without him being MVP Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's a big thing. And I don't think
Honestly, they probably should have lost that game against the Titans.
They
Probably.
probably should, but Will Levis just loves giving the ball to the other team.
he's charitable.
He is,
He's a good man. New
Good
England.
They lost to Seattle, but I feel a lot better about where New England is at because they will do a few things. They will play hard as hell on defense, and then they know what works for them in the run game. And then Jacoby Brissett was hooping on Sunday, made a couple plays out of structure. I actually think I'm higher on this team. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they will be a competitive, fun team.
Okay.
Do we think Buffalo is this the year Buffalo breaks through versus Kansas City, or is this looking like the same Buffalo team?
I want to see them full. I want to see the defense get fully healthy again, and then I will say like if they can challenge Kansas City or not. But I like where the offense is going.
If you had to predict who's going to get the number 1 overall pick,
Oh.
it's tough.
Dang. I'm gonna say the Panthers, but I don't really have that much confidence in it because the Giants really, really suck.
Wouldn't underestimate the Rams' ability to say, "Hey, man, let's just take this shit."
Just punt on the year.
Oh yeah, David Robinson, right? Like David Robinson, Tim Duncan. Like, you know what? We'll get him next year.
The funniest thing is they have run out of IR spots in week
That's
2.
nuts.
Damn.
Like
I don't think the Browns
everybody's
ever
hurt.
ran out of IR spots last year. Like,
Everybody is hurt. So Puka's on IR. Jonah Jackson's on IR. Steve Avila is on IR. I think like 3 of their starting 5 offensive linemen are on IR right now. Cooper Kupp's playing through an injury. Matthew Stafford very clearly is playing through an injury. And they also have one of the worst run defenses I've ever seen. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean McVay was just like, yeah, we'll just punt. But I think Matt Stafford's a little too much of a competitor to let that happen. Week 10, the Giants play Carolina in Charlotte. That is the number 1 pick bowl.
I miss NFL Network because that would have been a game that you put on Thursday night or NFL Network, and everybody would be like,
Well,
oh, yeah.
The thing about that game is they're sending that game to Munich, Germany.
Oh, that is the worst possible game.
That's
Germany.
That is a war crime.
What did Germany do?
That is
well.
Well, I mean, damn, like
that is an international act of aggression.
That
sending
is
that team, those teams to Germany.
Hey, bro, that's crazy. Imagine being like a German NFL football fan and you wait for your team for your game that you get once a year, and you're like, oh yeah, and then you're watching it play out, and you're like, oh, this is what we get. Like
we gotta watch Andy Dalton against Daniel Jones.
We gotta hope that Bryce Young gets back in there for this to be interesting. And who knows, JP? It might not even be Daniel Jones by the time we get to
a Drew Lock Andy Dalton game at 9:30 in the morning.
I will catch the fucking highlights.
I will not be watching that game.
I will watch the studio NFL live show before I tune in to that shit.
I will go do something else with my Sunday morning.
I wish I could lie and say I wouldn't watch it, but I'm gonna be locked in, bro. I'm gonna be locked in.
I'm not waking up at 9:30.
I'm gonna be locked in for it. I am. I promise you.
Imagine being like a Panthers fan on the West Coast. They ask you to wake up at 6:30 in the morning. Like
I would ask for a refund.
I'd be like, you know what, bro? Y'all got it.
Like that's crazy. Side note, week 17, Panthers Colts in Charlotte. You can get that ticket for the low price. Oh, no, that's Giants. Excuse me. The Giants Colts game in New York. You can get that ticket for the low price of $24.
Mm-hmm. The fee's gonna cost more than the fucking ticket.
The Panthers play Tampa December 1st in Charlotte. That game, you can get tickets for $18.
Hey, look, if you live in the southeastern corridor of the United States, it might be time to visit Carolina if you got a team that you want to go see, because them tickets is free, dog. They're going to pay
you to go watch this game.
Please come watch this game.
You know how bad, like, I've lived through this. You know how bad it is once the dude you drafted gives you no more hope that you got to go to Andy Dalton and it's fucking week 2? I ain't never lived through that, to be honest. Like, I remember when we finally had to give up on Johnny Manziel, and man, the rest of that season felt like a drag, and it was maybe 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, dog.
15.
And the best they got for you is fucking Andy Dalton. like, it ain't even somebody who played quarterback exciting. Oh, man, I've never hated Josh McCown more in my life than when I had to watch him play, because Johnny Manziel was absolute cheeks. And I'm like, oh, my God, bro, we got no hope every week. It's just awful. And the crazy thing is that they're going to be a better team with him out there. So, rough. The first CJ year, it was the defense. The second, it was totally on Ryan Day. Oh, you talking about Ohio State?
Can we just not talk about?
Hey, bro, y'all looking good. Will Howard, he gonna do it this year, right? He gonna beat him. You don't believe?
I mean, beat Michigan this year, that ain't saying much. That team.
I'll put it to you like this: if they lose to this Michigan team, Ryan Day will never be able to show his face in Ohio.
I hope they lose to this.
Where's this game at? Ohio State?
No,
I don't know. I think this is in Michigan.
I think the game is in Ann Arbor.
Hey, bro, Sharon out there crying. Sharon out there crying.
Ryan Day will not be able to show his face in the
I
state
just
of
believe
Ohio.
in my guys.
They might tarmac him like they did Lane Kiffin.
Hey, bro,
if you lose that game,
Donovan Edwards goes off for 350.
That would be the funniest game of all time if they lose that.
Hey, JV, look, it could happen. Like
I just imagine it's like a 9-6 game, and just nobody has fun watching it.
Mm-hmm. Except for Gus Johnson. This is a defensive battle. Someone needs to tell Carr there are local elections every year. Maybe that'll wake him up outside of the presidential.
Nah, he only cares about big ones.
He don't even care about the senator. Like he not getting up for representative elections, senator elections, only presidential.
Yeah, you know who he getting up for.
He like 43% of the electorate. If Nick Chubb comes back in week 5, first, does he come out of the gate and will take a couple of weeks to get going? Yeah, he's not going to come back and get like 30 carries. Like,
no, he's not going to come out.
Get like 8 carries that first
game
game back.
That'd be malpractice to give that guy 30 carries.
Especially when you don't really got to, because you could probably run the ball with the other 2 backs.
Bro, what's Nick to come out the gate getting like 175 yards? I can't see it. I can't see it, brother. Sorry.
Now, it could be one of those situations like Nick Chubb, his first game against the Raiders, where like he got 125 on 4 carries. And Hugh Jackson crashed out at the fucking press conference the next day talking about we still gonna play Carlos Hyde. And then Carlos Hyde magically gets traded.
God, I hate this. I hated this team back.
Hey, JP, it could get so much worse.
It can get so much worse, dog.
I'm there. It can get worse. I know. I've been through worse.
Oh my God. I just remembered that. That was a crazy thing. The coach is like, no, he's gonna start, and then we traded him. Like,
let you know everything about how the organization was running.
Hey, bro. And like, not gonna lie, absolutely needed to happen, because why weren't we playing Nick Chubb? Time of possession last year was 28 minutes. This year is 36 minutes for the Browns. Is that what you saying?
Ooh.
Hey, bro, it's gonna be Cleveland Brown football all year. All right, Ray Rag says watching Baker is like watching your old toxic ex who is going out with someone you know, and they keep telling you that
your
you
ex
changed, but you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe it's this time it won't. Hey, brother went to rehab. Like, he good now. Like, it is what it is. Like, it wasn't ever happening here. Like, we were not at the place to nurture that properly. We gave this motherfucker the keys to the city after 5 games. Like, it was never going to happen here. It was far too much, far too soon. We let him choose a coach after 8 games, JP.
That does not surprise me. Again, I'm a Jaguars fan.
Freddie Kitchens. We let him pick Freddie Kitchens, who then picked Todd Monken, because Baker wanted Todd Monken, and then those 2 proceeded to beef for the whole year. And you know who won that battle? Baker Mayfield did. It took Kevin Stefanski going 11-6 and clearly demonstrating that he is one of the best coaches to ever walk in this building since '99 for Baker to finally lose a fucking battle. Okay. And then he lost that battle and decided he was not running the offense anymore. And he wasn't going to get surgery. That it was never going to work here. Like, ooh. Hey, by the way, I brought this up. I'm like, hey, we need to understand the depths in which Baker Mayfield fell to get to this point. Not only did he have that happen and he crashed out in Cleveland, the man got traded to the Panthers, where he got benched for Sam Darnold, and then got put back in the starting lineup because I believe Sam Darnold got hurt, and then benched for P.J. Walker, and the Panthers played their best football of the year when they started P.J. Walker.
To be fair, Matt Rule was coaching that team.
Well, Matt Rule was coaching that team for a period. Like, and then he got fired, and Baker got cut too. Okay, like,
I remember when he got cut, because after he went to the Rams, and then he played like the best game of his life against Russell Wilson on Christmas.
Yeah, number 17, Baker Mayfield. That's how low it got. This motherfucker wore number 17. Okay, it got that low. So much needed to happen in that man's life in order for him to get to the point where he
that's gonna be one of those like memes where you see a famous player or athlete in a jersey you never thought they'd be in, Baker Mayfield in the Rams jersey is definitely something I don't think anybody's going to remember in like 5 years.
Number 17, Baker. It's like what when you see Cam Newton in a Patriots jersey.
Yes.
You just want to forget that whole thing happened.
Like Emmitt Smith on the Cardinals.
Mike Vick on the Steelers.
Like you just like ugh. Like it don't even feel right.
I forgot all about that.
Oh, Ed Reed on the Jets.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look, it was just never going to happen with Baker. And I've accepted that. I look at Baker Mayfield like, hey, bro, you've been through a lot. I'm glad you got out of it because I thought you was going to get out the league for a second there, dog. It looked dicey. So, good on him. I'm glad he made it out. He needed to be a walk-on in some way. He always kind of needs to be the underdog. He found a way to be it. He was a number 1 overall pick. He wasn't going to be no underdog when he got drafted number 1 overall. Juan looked like the little league kid in the outfield who just isn't paying attention and the ball suddenly gets hit at him. Yeah, like he was picking at them daffodils, like on the ground. Then try to catch the ball with the flowers in his hand. Yeah, that's what Juan looked like. He looked very caught off guard. Chicago really traded Justin Fields for zesty Justin Fields. We're not about to do this.
Oh, wow.
We're not about to do
Wow.
this.
Why?
We're not about to do this.
Why?
See, look. By the way, Everett, we looked up the age of Daniil Hunter. I'm convinced this wasn't a political thing. This was definitely a generational thing. Daniil Hunter, born in 94.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
This more about him not liking these new motherfuckers. Okay. By the way, when more Gen Z gets in the NFL, that generational battle.
Just wait till Dylan Raiola gets to the league.
Who?
Dylan Raiola, the Nebraska quarterback.
Yeah, cosplaying as Pat Mahomes. That's
gonna be all bad. That's gonna be all bad.
Yeah, I don't get it, but it's gonna be
fun.
a generational clash.
Have fun, man. You're a freshman. Do what you like, but eventually, like, hey, man.
Shador, they about to be all his ass. Yeah, hey, don't play for a couple years, Shador. Like, sit the bench. Let people forget about how they felt about Colorado.
The watch celebration is gonna go crazy.
Oh yeah,
like the first 2 games.
They about to be doing his daddy dances and all. They all kind of disrespectful shit about that happening to Shador Sanders.
I hear you. I need Myles Garrett to be like this. Like, I need Myles Garrett to do it. I need him to do it. I'm sorry. I need him to do it in the game.
I don't think Myles is going to be the one that does it. But you know who is? Martin Emerson.
Oh.
Because Martin Emerson, he might be Gen Z, but he's a really old Gen Z.
I was say it's Greg Newsome.
Mm-hmm. Greg Newsome
is absolutely going to do that.
See, Greg Newsome Gen Z, though. He not going to do it.
Greg Newsome don't like anybody.
Yeah. Greg Newsome just like celebrate. He just going to celebrate himself. But Martin Emerson, he don't like motherfuckers. Like, JOK really don't like these new motherfuckers. Okay. Like, every time JOK gets a big play, he don't even celebrate no more. He just like this the whole time with that big ass Guardian cap on his head.
Dog, it's so funny. And I get why they wear it, but it's just so funny to see.
He was like, I like it. I hit my head on people. I did feel it. I was like, oh God. Did we unlock another level of recklessness from JOK?
Excuse me? You just like hit people with your head?
Bro, when JOK hits somebody, like there were a couple plays in there where like JOK just throws his body at it. I was like, there's no way he's gonna have more than like a 7-year career, right? Like this, you cannot do this and survive.
I think Jake Burns is the one who said he plays linebacker like he's a running back.
He plays linebacker like he's Isaiah Pacheco.
Like seriously, like literally.
Pacheco.
Like his solution for the problem is his body.
He's the Don Brown quote, solve your problems with aggression. That's JOK.
Remember the first 2 weeks of Jahmyr Gibbs? We were like, oh my God, he can't keep doing this, right? Like, that's what it's like to see JOK get TFLs. It's like, oh my God.
Him and Quincy Williams just reckless abandon for their bodies.
Yeah, truly crashing out. Truly just crash out all-stars right there. If Frank Wright was still coaching in Carolina, the jokes for the Germany NFL. Wow. Okay. No.
Okay.
Okay.
We were trying to avoid that.
All right.
We were trying.
Well, y'all, this is over now. Wow.
Do we have any more?
No.
Do we
That
have
was
any more?
It's over, y'all. Okay. That.
Ooh.
Sorry, you had to see that, JP. See, this is why we don't bring strangers on this show. See, y'all don't know how to act. Y'all don't ever send these super chats when it's me and Cole just kicking it. Y'all JP get in here. Y'all just decide to act crazy. Y'all need to go to your room. All right, that was nuts.
I was like reading along. I was like, oh, I see where this is going.
That was
Stop.
nuts.
Did
you see the end of it?
I didn't even get to it because you clicked it on. I was like, as soon as I saw Frank Wright, I was like, I'm gonna stop.
He referenced a city in New York and a project. It was crazy.
Okay. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's it for this week's show. Hope y'all enjoyed it. This was a lot more organized. See, look, we got through topics, segments. Hey, let's bring Curtis on stage again, man. Curtis, the producer in here. We look well-ran show today. Everybody give Curtis a round of applause, man. Curtis ain't getting clapping up. Why you clapping for yourself, Curtis?
Because I want to.
You know he about to kick you off again. You know he about to kick you off.
No.
I know I was gonna be.
Cole called the play out, so now I can't do it. Like,
see?
Oh,
man. Everybody show love to Curtis, man. Make sure y'all follow Curtis. Where can they follow you at, real quick?
man, y'all can follow me on Twitter because that's where I usually be most of the time because all the other apps are ass. But Curtis_Brown21. That is my Twitter. Instagram, I don't use it no more. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't use it.
Curtis, how do you feel about these new motherfuckers? Because I feel like you in that age range where you could be a new motherfucker.
Hey man, let them do them, man. If they want to act like that, let them be. I can't say much about that.
Did you feel like it was a personal attack when he made that tackle on Caleb Williams? When you was like, "Hey, bro, what the fuck was that about?"
No, because I was watching the game with my dad, and he said, "Ooh," at the same time I did. I said that felt personal.
That felt like it had nothing to do about making the play.
Just the way he got hit, I was worried. I'm like, that felt personal.
He launched into him.
The thing is, Daniil Hunter gets past the right tackle and he stops. Like he makes the active decision to jump into the air.
Yeah,
and try to compensate Caleb Williams.
He got
it. At that point, it's like, what's your frustration? What did he do?
He ain't do nothing. You just don't like it.
Oh, man.
But thank you, Curtis, for a well-ran show. Appreciate you. JP, man, you can follow J. You shot out the threads. Are you done with Twitter?
I'm back and forth. I'm mostly on Twitter. Twitter at Acosta32_JP. You can find my work at SB Nation. I've established a football column I write about things I think are fun in football. So you should follow that every Wednesday. But other than that, see what I'm doing, see where I'm going.
Hey man, it's a good year for you to look into fun in football.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on the brighter side of the sport.
Yeah, well,
I'm putting all my faith in Florida Atlantic University football.
Okay, that's good.
JP, I gotta ask this question right now: who's the best quarterback in the state of Florida? Who's active?
Oh God, is it Baker? It's Baker.
It's gotta be Baker right now, right?
Right now,
he's at the number one of the Florida power rankings.
It's Baker.
Hey, Baker Mayfield in Florida always felt like that would be a good combination, especially Tampa. Right?
You're culturally Tampa.
Oh yeah. I was like, that makes sense. That man feel like a Tampa Bay guy. Yeah, Tampa Bay, Norman, Oklahoma, not that different.
Just one's got the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
One's got a Gulf, the other has a lake.
Oh yeah, Baker Mayfield gonna have one of them like them tans. You know that them Florida tans. Like he gonna be cherry red.
Yeah,
by the
these
end of
even dudes that like the Ron John.
he gonna be cherry red and then have one of them, like, you know how people in Florida be having that tan and that permanent smile? Like, like
the permanent tan smile, like the marks, and they had the little wraparound sunglasses.
A crazy farmer's tan from decades of wearing polos and hot weather. Like the shorts tan too from the khakis. Like Baker Mayfield fits perfectly in Florida. He gonna have a hat tan too because he like wearing caps.
Yeah,
he gonna look like a Floridian dog. It's gonna be hilarious. But everybody else, y'all have a great day. Thank y'all for checking this out. Kobe, you got anything to say before you head out?
Hey man, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. Thank you to everybody who's
Hold on, you just reminded me we got to do a like check because there's 157 of y'all in here, and it better be at least 200 likes on this video. So yeah, you just reminded me I got to do an audit on these likes. Go ahead, Cole.
But like I was saying, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. Thank you to everybody who commented, especially to everybody who super chatted. Ray Rags, we see you in there. Shout out to Autistic Kid. And everybody else who super chatted. Shout out Domo, man. Shout out Domo coming up to check out the live and be a part of the show. We appreciate you, Domo. And hey, man, we appreciate everybody who supports us. And we will see y'all next week.
I appreciate the 79 people who hit the like button. Now, if we can get to 100 likes before the day is over, then I will have a lot more appreciation. But all jokes aside, appreciate y'all in here. We're strong today. Hit the like button. Hit it now. If you haven't hit the like button, there's at least 50% of y'all who didn't. And I don't believe 50% of y'all are assholes. So hit that like button right there. Just go ahead and tap that like button here. Make sure this thing gets on the algorithm. Leave a comment too. Tell us how great you think things are going. But for Q and Cole, this is Quincy. Peace.